What is going on, everybody? Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, depending on where you are. What's going on, Rojo?
Wherever you are in the world. It's Rojo.
Rojo, yes. My bad.
Get it right.
Rojo fish.
But yeah. What's going on, everybody?
Rojo, thank you for the kind words, Rojo, in the Discord yesterday.
Oh, that was very nice.
Yep.
Yeah. Happy you enjoyed the time going over the team. I just need to say something. I gotta go on a little bit of a mini rant.
Do it.
Deontay Johnson got a quarterback upgrade this offseason, and it's like nobody cares.
Oh, man. All right, buckle in, you guys. He's going to be talking about his favorite player. It's either, if it's not Javonte Williams, it's Deontay Johnson.
Or Aaron Jones.
You have the floor.
Everyone's tilting on Twitter right now. Everyone's talking about Deontay Johnson. He is the hot topic on Twitter today. Because people are like, well, Mitchell Trubisky's not that big of an upgrade over Big Ben. And that may be true. But did you watch Ben Roethlisberger last year?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
As a Deontay Johnson owner, I watched him carefully.
I watched his carcass throw lobs to out there. Like little noodle arm Ben Roethlisberger. And Deontay still finished as what? The wide receiver 8?
He was the wide receiver 8 in standard and the wide receiver 9 in half PPR. And then in PPR, he was the wide receiver 8.
And it's like, nobody even cares. He's still going in the fourth round.
Well, everybody's thinking, all right, Mitchell Trubisky's going to run a little bit more, and he's got a stronger arm, so he's actually going to connect downfield with Chase Claypool more, which is another guy you like.
I like Claypool, too.
You bought him recently.
I did buy him.
Yeah. Deontay Johnson's being criminally underrated. Everybody's operating under the impression that, like, Juju Smith-Schuster didn't leave. Like, he left. He's gone.
He's gone.
And that contributed to Deontay Johnson exploding last year in terms of fantasy production. He didn't come back. He's gone.
And James Washington's gone, too.
Yeah.
They haven't replaced either one of those two guys.
Yep. It's wild. Hey, what's going on, Mike?
And he's still going in the fourth round. What's up, Mike? I needed to get that off my chest. It was a hot button topic on Twitter today. First of all, I was happy everybody talking about one of my favorite guys on Twitter. But yeah, it's like nobody even cares. Got a quarterback upgrade, marginal or otherwise, it's an upgrade. And I still see him going in the fourth round of redraft and best ball.
Yo, do me a favor.
Everybody's lost their mind.
Do me a favor.
What's up?
That link that you sent me 5 minutes before the stream about Chris Olave, can you throw that into the chat for everybody?
Sure.
You're going to go on a rant about one of your favorite route running savants in the NFL. I just want everybody to see another guy who's going to be coming in and performing about the same, at least in terms of, maybe not about the same, but the ceiling is there.
I have all caps on. I guess I'm just fired up today.
So Chris Olave, you guys,
that boy gonna be good.
Yeah,
hang on.
He came up in conversation because we were talking about some negative press that Chris Olave has been getting. Speaking about another player who's getting some negative press, people are talking about he has zero physicality to his game. He can't make any contested catches. And he apparently had like 3 broken tackles in college last year and has 10 broken tackles in his whole college career, which in a vacuum,
shout out,
not great numbers.
No.
But click that link. It's not too often that we're gonna tell you guys to leave our
the channel,
leave the window that you're on watching us on to check something out. But do yourself a favor. If you are intrigued by Chris Olave, check that out and tell me that doesn't look like a mix between Deontay Johnson and Stephon Diggs.
That footwork, man.
That footwork, the late hands, huge. One of the
He's
biggest things with
so
wide
good.
receivers is late hands. You saw that all the time with Devontae Adams. That's one of the things that made him such a great wide receiver. Great route runner, has the size, but also late hands. The defenders never knew when he was going to be catching the ball. And then all of a sudden, boom, catch.
Told you, he's one of the smartest guys that in this from a skill position perspective. One of the highest football IQs of the dynasty prospects.
And today, that's what we're talking about.
Big fan of Olave.
So do we want to go through the 1 through 12 before we start hitting on 13, 14, 15, and beyond?
Let's quickly get to let's polish off some of these early questions, and then we'll get into it.
What's going on, Alex?
Mike asked, how about Sammy? I mean, yeah.
Watch the video that we just put out.
Jason?
After the stream. Don't do it right now. After the stream.
I mean, my quick thoughts about Sammy are he's gonna show up and ball out week 1, and then he's gonna turtle up, and then he's gonna be the Packers' best receiver in the playoffs.
No, he's gonna have a boom week 1, like you said, and then he's going to get almost the same amount of targets week 2, week 3, week 4, and then he's gonna get injured around week 4, week 5, and he's gonna miss 5 to 6 games. And then he's going to try to work his way back, and then, yes, he will be ready for the playoff run.
And he'll ball out.
Yeah. What's going on, Slim? What's going on, Jason?
Shout out to the Lizard King. What's up, guys?
And Alex, at the 101, go Brees. At the 103, go Walker if he's there. If he's not there, this is super flex. I would go Garrett Wilson at 103.
Wilson, and then at the 201,
we'll get into that.
Bray Ritter falls to you.
We'll go through our rankings of 1 to 12 real quick in both formats so that you get an idea of where we were at if you missed that stream from last week, the Thursday stream from last week. And then we'll hit on 13, 14, and beyond so you can have an idea of guys that we have ranked higher as prospects that you should be looking at early in the second round.
We'll make and actually, I just thought
at 201, sure you should be looking at quarterback. But
well, I was pray Desmond Ridder falls to you if you go. Yeah. That's what I would do. Can we make a community post where our rankings are? Like for at least I feel like that's something that we could maybe do. Yeah,
we can put that on our website and make a community post for it. Absolutely.
We'll make a community post. We'll put a link. Yeah, we'll find somewhere on the website to how do you subscribe to like our email list, to our mailing list? We need
we
your
don't
email.
have that anymore. It was poorly configured.
Was just
it was poorly configured, and then people were getting notices every single time it's a thing. So we need to work on that, but we'll absolutely put our rankings for each format's on a page, so you can go look at it. It will be dated.
Put it on the community post.
It'll be something that we'll have to update if we want to make any changes to our rankings, but at least you guys can go in there and check it out.
I think it can sit there for a couple of weeks leading up to the draft.
Yeah.
And it'll be fine. Yeah, but then we'll probably have to take it down.
Rojo Fish, I do not entertain drafting Spiller at 201 unless you are in a 1 QB league, and that's the only time I will entertain it. And even then, if Rachaad White is on the board, I'm going Rachaad White. If Zamir White is on the board, I'm going Zamir White over Spiller at 201.
Is he there? I know it's only 10 team, but is he there at 201?
I don't think so. I think somebody will take him before you.
Yeah.
And that will be a good thing because that will mean one of these other running backs that I just mentioned will still be available.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Agreed. But okay, let's get into it.
Yes, sir. Hit him off.
All right, real quick, and we did this, so our rankings have adjusted slightly, so we're going to focus more on 13 to 24 today, but just to quickly recap our 1 to 12 rankings in both one quarterback and Superflex. I'll start with one quarterback. My rankings, 1 to 12, Breece Hall, Garrett Wilson, Traylon Burks, Kenneth Walker. I got Chris Olave all the way up to 5. I got Jamison Williams all the way up to 6. I got Malik Willis at 7, just out of respect for what we expect the first quarterback to be, who goes off the board. I'll have him at 107 for the one quarterback. I expect him to fall a little bit though in those drafts. Drake London at 8. I feel kind of gross doing that, but I won't let him slide out of the first round out of some amount of respect. George Pickens at 9, Rashad White at 10, Hall, Wilson, Burks. Wait, do I only have 11 here? 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11.
Yes.
No, I can't. I just can't count. Hall, Wilson, Burks, Walker, Olave, Jamison Williams at 6, Malik Willis at 7, London at 8, George Pickens at 9, Rashad White at 10, Jahan Dotson at 11, and my sneak into the end of the first round, who I've become incredibly bullish on over the past couple of days, Sky Moore, baby. I got Sky Moore at the 112 and 1 quarterback leagues. Elite college dominator score, elite speed, elite target share. I'm sneaking him into the first round, to the very end of the first round in 1 quarterback leagues. That's 1 quarterback.
All right, let me go through my 1 quarterback real quick before we move on to Superflex. Like you, my rankings look a lot like yours. Brees Hall 1, Garrett Wilson 2, Kenneth Walker 3, Traylon Burks 4. I still have Traylon Burks at 4.
Okay.
Jamison Williams at 5.
Woo, baby.
Because I mean, when you think about the upside that he brings, he's got the most upside in this draft. I believe he has. Yep. I believe Jamison Williams, with what he brings to the table and how polished he is, once he comes back from an injury fully, has more of a ceiling than even Traylon Burks. But so right now, 4 and 5, they're almost interchangeable to me. I could see myself putting Jamison Williams ahead of Traylon Burks. But right now, I still have Burks at 4, Williams at 5, Chris Olave at 6.
Okay.
I have Drake London at 7.
Okay. I have him at 8.
Because in one quarterback leagues, I mean, the
value is way down.
The value of Willis is lessened. Yep. And Willis isn't a bulletproof prospect by any means either. And people are forgetting that with all the hype that is surrounding him right now.
Right.
So with that in mind, yes, I'm still going Drake London over Malik Willis.
Okay.
Just off the chance that maybe everything that we said yesterday in the members-only stream about Drake London is wrong. If he is the outlier, he has Michael Pittman, Mike Evans upside. But then I got at 8, I got Malik Willis, and then 9 and 10 are interchangeable depending on need. If you have need at running back, go Rashad White. If you have need at wide receiver, you go George Pickens.
Okay,
at
so
9.
we're on the same page.
But right now I have Rashad White at 9, George Pickens at 10, just because I believe with running backs in 1 QB leagues, they have a little bit more importance than wide receivers around the same range. So Rashad White at 9, George Pickens at 10. At 11, I have Jahan Dotson.
Okay, that's where
I
have
like
him.
Jahan Dotson. And then at 12, I don't have Sky here yet. Zamir White, just because, like I said, running backs take a little bit more precedence to me in 1 QB leagues. But again, that really comes down to your team need. If you're really set at running back and you need wide receiver at 12, I have no issues having Sky Moore there. He's right behind him for me.
There you go.
So
I have Zamir White a little further down than you, but I guess I've propped up a couple of other players that you've kind of talked about over the course of the offseason so far, but we can get into that.
Let's run through the chat real quick, catch up on the chat beforehand.
Yeah.
Sad Jay, what's going
on? No.
Not at all.
No, because they're all like all of the analytics, all of the measure, everything that we have like measured as it pertains to these Ohio State receivers. We expect both of these guys to be good. We expect both of these guys to be big. I don't know if big time is the correct word here, but producers at the NFL level and worthy of top 5 selections in 1 quarterback leagues.
They're all polished. That's what I'm going to say about them. They're all super polished. So I don't see any of them falling below wide receiver 3, even if they fail to hit their peak output of what we expect them to be able to do. At worst, the Wilson and Olaves, they're going to be wide receiver 3s. At best, they can be wide receiver 1s, like Deontay Johnson was last year.
And I think Wilson is a shoo-in for that. Personally, I'll plant my flag.
Wilson's floor is more like wide receiver 2 than a wide receiver 3. Olave's floor is more like wide receiver 3 than wide receiver 2, and Smith and Jigba's floor looks like a high-end wide receiver 2. Honestly, he might be the best. He has a low-end wide receiver.
Yeah, he might be the best of the bunch eventually.
Or a high-end wide receiver 2 floor, right?
Yeah. Wilson has superstar traits, I think, written all over him. And while Olave has one or two, if you want to call them question marks, if you want to call his lack of broken tackles question marks, okay, fine, fair enough. I think the route running, the footwork, the football IQ, huge check marks in his favor. Not worried about either one of them.
And Mike, we'll let you know what you should be doing with the 202. In our rankings when we go through them. And at the 310, 311, running back.
Yeah, if there's some late round running backs, like a Pierre Strong.
Huge fan.
Yeah, I'm good. That's Kevin the type Harris. Of depth I'm looking for. Yeah, John likes Kevin Harris. I can't speak to him as well. I'm personally intrigued by Tyler Algier. I think John is less intrigued by him. I won't call him like one of my guys, but I'm very intrigued by him because of his college dominator score. He soaked up a good amount of volume over in college. I think that's a solid. Maybe not foolproof, but a solid metric to go off of. But Pierre Strong, like guys like that, Kevin Harris. And for me, I kind of like Tyler Algier. Players like that.
There you go. And where do you draft Jelani Woods? Again, we're going to get into that in these rankings.
If it was up to John, the 102.
No, right now, I'll just let you know I have him at 212. So right now, I have Jelani Woods at 212 right before the turn. And that's really, for me, just to make sure that I get him because I know that I have him higher than most. So that's really just, I don't want to play any games and hope that he falls until middle of the third, end of the third. I just want to go get him. I just want to go get my guy. I'm really high on him. I just want him on my team. So I'm willing to put him at 212. It depends on how highly you view him. Yeah, if you can trade James Conner and get DK Metcalf, yeah, that's worth it. Johnny Jones.
Absolutely.
Do that all day. If you're trading DK Metcalf to get James Conner, bad move. Don't do it. But if you're getting DK Metcalf, smash accept on that.
Smash accept.
Like yesterday.
I agree.
Yeah.
Yup.
Yeah.
Yeah. Stop what you're doing and hit yes.
Yes, sir.
But
CXK.
If you're acquiring Metcalf. Yep.
CXK, what's going on?
CXK?
We both like Pickens too.
Yep, I like Pickens. Like Pickens at the end of the first round over what I think were early offseason consensus first round picks. Like a Drake London. I put Drake London ahead of him, but honestly, Pickens is right there. I like him over Spiller. I like him over Dotson. I'm a fan of Pickens' upside.
Yep. And Hunter L, what's going on? Thoughts on the Sammy Watkins signing? Check out the video that we just released about 30 minutes before the stream, after the stream. So just keep us on your screen, but after the stream, check out the Sammy Watkins video we just made. Does he help or hurt the incoming wide receiver we're gonna get out of the draft? I think it's neither. I don't think he helps or hurts him.
Yeah, I mean, do they draft Sammy's a guy who at this point in his career, I mean, he can go inside or out, but like, do they end up with a Jamison Williams? Well, then it doesn't matter. We're not going to see Jamison Williams for the first half of 2022. Do they draft, are they one of the ones who ends up with like a Jahan Dotson or a George Pickens? Maybe a little bit. Maybe Dotson a little bit more so. But it's a 1-year deal. And these guys are probably in a situation where they're in a little bit more of a development phase. Not that they're not that they're going to ride the bench for the entirety of their rookie season. Maybe. But like if the Packers land one of the top prospects at the position, with all due respect to Sammy Watkins, I'm not too worried about it.
I mean, just look at their depth chart right now. I really think Sammy Watkins is just to solidify their depth chart because without Sammy Watkins, had Allen Lazard, Randall Cobb and Amari Rogers. Amari Rogers has 5 career touches.
Not too worried about that.
Alan Lazard, he did a 4-year career thus far. And I like Alan Lazard a lot. Check out the video that we just made on Sammy Watkins. You'll hear me say that I would rather you just go out and get Alan Lazard than invest anything or expect anything from Sammy Watkins. But I don't think Sammy Watkins' signing there helps or hurts anybody. I really think he's just there for depth. If you're talking about helping anybody, it would probably minimally help Aaron Rodgers, and that's it.
Yeah, it would boost Aaron Rodgers' floor for whatever that's worth.
But Nick has said multiple times, and I'm of the same belief, that we have to add in Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon into the pass-catching group in this offense because they are going to pick up a lot of the slack there. And you know that I've been a huge fan of Robert Tonyan. So, no, I think there's going to be 4 or 5 pass catchers in this offense running ahead of Sammy Watkins on a play-to-play basis.
Yeah, or at least 2 or 3. Yeah.
And yes, if Smith and Njigba was in this draft, honestly, it would be like, do you put him over Breece Hall? That would be a question. So yes, if Smith and Njigba was in this draft, he would absolutely be the number 2 ranked player, even ahead of Malik Willis in Superflex for me.
Yeah.
So he
probably doesn't clear Breece Hall just because of the in this draft because of the lack of running back depth, but he presents maybe the strongest argument.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's going to be in contention for that top spot before long.
And if Sammy is healthy, I'm just going to stop you right there. Sammy's never healthy. Sammy is never healthy. He's not.
I don't. Yeah. I mean, we don't predict or chart out injuries, and we certainly don't root for them. But it has been something that Sammy has unfortunately dealt with pretty consistently over the course of his career.
He was not an injury-prone wide receiver coming into the league, but he suffered a Jones fracture early in his 3rd season, and then Rex Ryan made him come back and play on it. I remember this vividly because I was a Bills fan rooting for him to finally break the playoff drought that year. They didn't come close, but Rex Ryan still made him go out there and play on a Jones fracture, and it ruined him. It ruined him physically, and he was never able to recover to the point where literally halfway through the season, if he's given a large run in the offense, halfway through the season, Sammy Watkins gets injured again because his body mechanics just aren't there anymore. And that sucks because he had one of the highest upsides in that 2014 draft that had, Mike Evans, Odell Beckham, Jarvis Landry. He had the highest upside. He was drafted 4th overall ahead of everyone. And we've seen how it's panned out. So regardless of whether or not Aaron Rodgers is an MVP at QB, I don't care about Sammy Watkins.
Well, sorry, Sammy.
I'm not. Sorry.
Sorry for Rex Ryan. Rex friggin' Ryan.
Yeah,
that's what I'm sorry about.
It. It's his fault. It's his fault. Devin Funchess
anyway.
comp. Oh.
Yeah, I mean, just as from a perspective of a veteran receiver who they brought in, I hope he doesn't go the way of Devin Funchess, who literally did nothing. He proceeded to opt out because of COVID. Hopefully,
honestly, I think this more mirrors the Randall Cobb re-signing than the Devin Funchess tryout, because Devin Funchess was at least 26 years old when he was signed by the Packers, or even 25, and then spent a year off the team. Sammy is 29. Which is the age where we start thinking about elite wide receivers declining. And Sammy Watkins is far from elite. So are you investing in a non-elite, injury-prone wide receiver coming into a new offense with no rapport with his quarterback? No.
Even though it's Aaron Rodgers.
Aging one? No.
But still, yeah.
Alan Lazard. Go out and get Alan Lazard.
Yeah, I guess so.
And Robert Tonyan.
Get Tonyan instead.
All right, let's get into our 2 QB rankings, our Superflex rankings, 1 through 12.
Sure.
Start them off.
Not too different, but the quarterbacks obviously start to enter the fray here and push some other guys down. Breece Hall is still the 101 in Superflex, no matter what. I still have Garrett Wilson at the 102 in Superflex. That's how strongly I believe in him. Malik Willis does come up to 103, though, because of the expected draft capital, landing spot, and the intangibles he brings to the position. Traylon Burks at 4, Kenneth Walker 5. This is where I've kind of really started to shift. I got Desmond Ridder all the way up at the 106 for me. If now this is pending his draft capital. Does Desmond Ridder go in the second round or later? He's going to come way down for me. But if he goes in the first round as expected, I have to give him that respect and put him in the first round of rookie drafts as well. Because if we're going to get excited about Malik Willis, and I know that his tools right now are on paper more enticing than Desmond Ridder. Desmond Ridder is a people are similarly excited for both prospects. So I got to put Desmond Ridder this high in Superflex rookie drafts, pending first round draft capital in the NFL draft. So I got Desmond Ridder at the 106. That means a couple of guys get bumped down. I have Chris Olave at the 107, Jameson Williams at the 108. Kenny Pickett, Matt Corral are my QB 3s and 4s. So they're back again, pending landing spot and draft capital. I think they're safe. Superflex, back end of the first round picks, around the 8, 9, maybe 10 spot. And then I got Drake London and George Pickens rounding out the end of the first round in Superflex leagues.
There you go.
So I do have 4 quarterbacks total. Even in this, what has been billed as a weak quarterback class, still should get first round consideration in your rookie drafts just because of the value of the position and the potential of hitting on one if they work out.
And my rankings look, again, a lot like yours with a few tweaks here and there.
Couple
I
wrinkles.
got Brees Hall 1,
Yep.
Malik Willis 2, Garrett Wilson 3, Traylon Burks 4, Kenneth Walker 5,
Yep.
Jameson Williams 6, Chris Olave 7,
Okay.
Desmond Ridder 8,
Okay.
Kenny Pickett 9, and then Drake London 10,
Okay.
Rashad White 11 and 12, George Pickens, and again, those two are interchangeable depending on team need. If you have need at running back, Rashad White 11, George Pickens 12, and vice versa. If you have need at wide receiver, George Pickens ahead of Rashad White. But that's how I round out my top 12 and 2 QB.
There you go. There we go. So that is a quick wrap on our 1 to 12, which we did talk about last week. If you want to see a little bit more in depth, it's a little dated now because we have made some tweaks. But that's a quick round out of our top 12 for both formats. Let's get into 13 to 24. You want me to kick this off?
I just want to, in the chat there, Sad J. Yeah, man, I don't know. Will Fuller, zone of health. I think Will Fuller's healthier. I just think Will Fuller just took a year off because his mentals weren't there. Yeah, he just kind of bailed and he went MIA and MIA, to quote Nick. He went MIA and MIA. And
I love dad
thank you
puns.
for my Rex Ryan take. I lived through that, so it's very vivid in my memory. Slim, we will talk Jelani Woods once we get around to 112. We will talk about Jelani Woods. Actually, we'll talk about him, or not 112, 212. We'll talk about him at 210. And yeah, man, Hunter L, we are too. We just need to get more members before we can start thinking about making a dynasty league with.
We need a few more. We need a few more, but we're prepared to make that happen.
Yeah, we're looking forward to it. We were just talking about it before the stream, really.
We were talking about it before the stream because, like you guys, we hopefully not, but I assume every league has to deal with this at one point or another. We deal with dead weight in our leagues where people just don't respond, and it's frustrating.
They're in-season owners in a dynasty league, which makes no sense because you play dynasty to pay attention to fantasy year-round. If you're in dynasty and you treat it like a redraft league, you have no place being in a dynasty league. That's how we feel.
We want degenerates.
Yeah.
Like us. That's
so
not
honestly,
an insult.
we were talking about trying to cut some of that dead weight, and since we don't have the
happens.
numbers in terms of the members right now to fill out a full league, maybe adding some of y'all into our currently existing leagues and seeing how that would do, because we know that you guys are diehards like us. But
yeah, nothing's imminent, but cat's out of the bag. We'll see what happens.
All right, start us off. 1 QB or 2 QB?
I can start with 1 QB, I guess, just because we kicked things off with one QB, just on our 1 to 12 rehash.
There you go.
But after your George Pickens, Rashad White, Jahan Dotson, Sky Moore area, number 13 for me is your boy in one quarterback, and that's Christian Watson. It's a pure upside play, right? It's pure upside. He's got the player profiler, like a bit, intangibles that are enticing as far as the metrics. Others are probably
RAS score, yeah.
Others are probably going to have him closer to the middle of the second round. But if we're going to build this class as generally, the feelings are these prospects top to bottom are not as strong as other classes, then I'm of the mindset to take my shots, right? Swing for the fences. And Watson feels like that pick. So in one quarterback leagues, I'm willing to go as high as the 201 on him if my guys are all gone.
Okay.
I gotta keep going. Right.
Oh no, at 13 I have Jahan Dotson. That's where I have Jahan Dotson. My one QB rounded out with George Pickens, Jahan Dotson.
Oh, that's right.
Or no, I have Jahan Dotson in my. Sorry, I have Sky Moore.
Oh, right. That's
at
yeah.
one
That's
QB
what it was.
at the 13th spot because for me it goes 10 George Pickens, 11 Jahan Dotson, 12 Zamir White, 13 with the 201. I got Sky Moore there. He's been comped to Golden Tate by a lot of people, 4.4, 140 times, so he's real fast. You mentioned his college dominator rating, 91st percentile college dominator rating. You mentioned his college target share, 99th percentile college target share. So he was used to being used a buttload.
A lot.
in college, and I mean he showed out well with it. So yeah, I mean Sky Moore. I don't have him in my top 10 just because in one QB I do value running backs a little bit more than wide receivers when they're not elite wide receivers. Sky Moore is just outside of that elite tier. So Sky Moore 13 for me.
There you go. Let's see. What do I got here? 14 is where I did pencil in Zamir White. So I think you're a little higher on him than I am, and I guess I'm boosting the wide receivers a little bit and not concerned about the scarcity at running back as much, which is why Zamir White does not crack my top 12. But with a guy like Spiller falling, I do want to make sure that we do identify some running back prospects that are worth taking a chance on. Within the top 15 or say as high as the top 20, because we have been touting look for the running backs in the third round and swing for the fences more in the second round. But this high up, Zamir White I think is settling in as a safe little prospect. I'll go him at 14. So you have him in the top 12.
Yep.
So I have Zamir White at 14.
And this is where, and I don't think he's going to be there. But in one QB, this is where, by default, I have to put Isaiah Spiller there.
Okay, he's one spot down for me.
By default, because it's one QB, emphasis on running backs in one QB is a little bit higher than in other formats.
Yep.
Huge combine faller. I do not expect him to be there.
No.
At 102, or 202, which is why I'm not too worried about it. He comps to a TJ Yeldon as a not very fast, not very agile, larger back with some receiving skills, but a very low BMI. So he's not somebody who has the body to hold up to a large workload.
Right.
So he's a very, 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 very poor man's Leonard Fournette, which basically ends up being TJ Yeldon. So even though I have him at 202, it's more out of principle than out of me actually ranking him there. I do not like him as a prospect. I'm doing everything I can to stay away from him. And if I had the choice between him and the guy that I have next in line for me at 15 is Christian Watson. I'm going Christian Watson over Isaiah Spiller. I just have Isaiah Spiller there out of.
It's more of a red flag because it's like everyone else has him around the 107, the 108, like somewhere where it's not like, it's the back half of the first round.
Yeah.
Whereas we'll put him down here in the I have him at 203 at spot fit, so I have him one spot down. But again, I have zero expectations that he'll be there. So I'll give him top 15, literally 15th, out of respect for the prospect and the consensus has him in the first round. He went, he played at A&M, so the competition was strong in college. But yeah, the metrics and the workouts are not really in his favor right now. So I'll put him at 15. Again, full expectation he's gone by, say, the end of the first, which means I don't end up with him. But I'll put him at 15.
Yeah, I have Christian Watson at 15, Isaiah Spiller at 14, because with these players, if they hit their floor, Christian Watson's floor is Denzel Mims. He's very closely comped, and if he was to hit his floor to Denzel Mims, who literally we've never seen him see the field. Whereas Isaiah Spiller, if he hits his floor, which is T.J. Yeldon, then his ceiling is T.J. Yeldon. But basically, if he falls into that T.J. Yeldon zone, you at least got 1.5 years out of T.J. Yeldon. You at least got the first year out of T.J. Yeldon in 2015 when he was drafted by Jacksonville, and then a half of 2016, and then the team went away from him because he wasn't very effective, and then they drafted Leonard Fournette. So just based off of that, if they hit their floors, I'd rather have the running back getting 1.5 years of some sort of production versus the wide receiver who might not ever see the field. But I do not expect that from Christian Watson. 4.36 speed, that's who I have at 15 here in my rankings at the 203 spot. Not only, he comps to Denzel Mims as a floor, but a ceiling play for him is DJ Chark. Easy. DJ Chark, Tyrell Williams, one of these guys who can be a multi-year fantasy asset for you. Maybe not a 5, 6, 7 year stud, but can hit a ceiling and be a high-end wide receiver 3 seasons in their career. So that's where I have Christian Watson at 15.
There you go.
He was a guy that nobody was talking about until the combine. So I also have to throw that out there. Lots of times these combine risers, you have to be careful of them. Because if they weren't being talked about before the combine and they're only being talked about because of their elite athletic measurables, they do come with some warts. So you do have to be careful with Christian Watson, but the upside is a little bit too tantalizing for me to stay away from him.
There you go.
Who do you got at 16?
Real quick, since we did run out to the top 15, just checking back on the chat. Dev, what's going on? First of all, thanks for joining. Why is Devin Singletary so low? In redraft?
Because everybody's under the impression that the Bills are going to draft a running back.
Right. They're probably looking. I mean, there's a lot of people comping Breece Hall to the Bills. Or not comping, mocking Breece Hall to the Bills. If Breece Hall goes to the Bills, no disrespect to Devin Singletary, but Devin Singletary becomes obsolete.
I do not expect that to happen.
Okay. I mean, but also you can't argue the Bills have built a roster now where they can draft for want and not need if they want to. Like, they're at that point.
Yeah.
And if they want Breece Hall, they can take Breece Hall and feel fine about it.
They have other holes, and in the modern NFL.
Yeah,
taking a running back in the first round. I heard somebody talking about this.
It's bad optics.
It's just bad process. Look at the best running backs in the league. Are they on teams that are winning teams, or are they on teams that are on losing teams with cap issues? They're on losing teams with cap issues. Najee Harris Society hasn't reached that point in his career yet where you're talking about him on a second contract, but you look at Christian McCaffrey, you look at Zeke Elliott, you look at not really Dalvin Cook, but Dalvin Cook to a certain extent. You look at Saquon, right? These are bad teams.
Yeah.
Who approach the process wrong.
Yep.
And I do not think the Bills are going to do that. I think they're going to go cornerback. So, okay. Devin Singletary, there's a buy window for Devin Singletary.
Yeah.
I believe.
Why is he going so low? Look, he turned it on in the second half of the season, but it's not just this like expectation almost that the Bills are going to draft a running back. It's the scheme of the offense as well. The Bills throw the ball the whole game, even when they're beating you by 3 touchdowns. That's just their MO. That's just how they operate. And Josh Allen is the ultimate vulture at the quarterback position. He averages like 8 rushing touchdowns a season.
Yeah.
It's not to mention the yards he compiles. He's like, we have to, from a quarterback vulturing production away from the backfield perspective, Josh Allen he needs to be viewed like Lamar Jackson. Now, he's not as fast. He's not as shifty. He's not going to maybe compile 1,000 yards rushing on the season like Lamar can from an upside perspective. But Allen's going to vulture touchdowns. He's their goal line running back, basically. And he vultures enough rushing production to, like, rushing yardage production to keep Devin Singletary's ADP low. From that perspective, I'm not trying to, this is almost me trying to say, like, yeah, go ahead and buy Devin Singletary because he is an RB1 who is being drafted in the 8th round in redraft. And go buy him in Dynasty for what should be lesser value because of the expectation that the Bills are going to draft a running back.
Honestly, if you're looking at what Devin Singletary's done in 3 years in the NFL, 5.1 yards per carry his first year, 4.4 yards per carry his second year, 4.6 yards per carry his third year. In the past 2 years, he's had exactly 50 targets in back-to-back years, which is great for a running back. That's what we're hoping to get yearly from a Josh Jacobs. And he had his most rushes of his career last year. While that's only 188, that also means he's staying fresh.
Yeah,
he's staying fresh. Nobody likes Zach Moss. People aren't huge fans of Duke Johnson, despite what he did in 1 week in Miami out of necessity. But everybody's sleeping on Devin Singletary right now. And as far as the Bills brass, I don't think they view running back as a weakness of their team right now. I think the fantasy community is thinking, what's the one place that they can upgrade on offense outside of another wide receiver playmaker? It's running back. But they're connecting dots that aren't there. The Bills have a really versatile running back core. Mm-hmm. And I see no reason for them to add anybody else to the mix now that they have 3 guys with intriguing, differentiating skill sets. So honestly, you could throw 2/4 at the Zach Moss owner and probably get Zach Moss too. And as far as handcuffs go, that's not a bad option either.
Not a bad call. Yeah.
Or I've seen Zach Moss end up on the cutting room floor in dynasty leagues. Somebody cut him. Somebody cut him in a dynasty league where I was in, and somebody else picked him up before I could get to him. But that's how low Zach Moss's value is right now. In a 10-team dynasty league, somebody cut Zach Moss.
I know he's in the doghouse right now, and the vibes on him are bad. But that's, as of right now, the way with the depth or lack thereof in the Bills' backfield, I wouldn't do that. Because here's the other thing. Newsflash: Buffalo gets cold in the winter. And when did Devin Singletary's production skyrocket last year? In the second half of the season, when the weather gets cold. So you might have to wait a little bit on Buffalo running backs, but once we get into November and December, when it does make more sense to pound the rock a little bit more, you want those backs in those cold weather cities, like a Buffalo, like a Green Bay, teams that play outdoors in the cold. Devin Singletary is a good, and Zach Moss for even cheaper are good buy lows.
And another just wrinkle before we move back into the rest of the chat, and then because I don't want to spend too much time on this, but one of the reasons why Devin Singletary was catching a lot of passes and was doing really well towards the end of the season, in conjunction with it just being colder and that just being more of a game plan thing, with getting him more rushes in cold weather, he was picking up the slack for Cole Beasley, being the short pass game weapon. Cole Beasley got hurt, wasn't able to be relied upon, and they started using Devin Singletary more in short passing situations, which kind of negates the whole Josh Allen rushing the ball, Josh Allen passing the ball so much, because if Devin Singletary is going to be involved in the pass game, I'm fine with that. Then Devin Singletary becomes a third down back plus, which is exactly the type of running back that we like. So, huge fans of Devin Singletary. I wanted McKissick to go to Buffalo too, but at this point,
as an Antonio Gibson guy, me too.
At this point, F McKissick. All right, he's in my doghouse.
He's in my doghouse too. So is Washington in general. I'm worried about Antonio Gibson in general. They're having running back visits. I hate it. Anyway, first of all, what's going on, AB? Not first of all, but good to see you. Loved all the emojis.
What's going on, AB?
Anyway, rant over about the Bills' backfield. Let's get back to these rankings.
Well, we too spend way too much studying these guys.
There's no such thing.
Nick and I both thought that Moss was going to be good, and we just don't really know what happened. He just ended up not being all that efficient.
He ended up in the doghouse like after week 1. Wasn't he like a healthy scratch?
At some points, yeah, you had Matt Breida running ahead of him.
Could just be like an attitude type of thing, but again, that's just a guess. You know, I don't know. They don't like how he carries himself as a professional. Could be something like that.
That happens. Keyshawn Vaughn. That happens. All right, let's get back into these rankings. Where were we at? 16.
We were just entering 16. We just did. You had Isaiah Spiller at the 202, followed by Christian Watson. I had Isaiah Spiller at the 203, so just one spot down. Which basically is an indication neither of us expect to have Isaiah Spiller anywhere.
Nope.
Number 16, I got James Cook, and I guess I'm continuing to like boost those running backs just a little bit before we kind of start to get into the tier break, where it's like, okay, stop grabbing running backs and wait till the third round to do it. But I'll put James Cook there. Got some pass catching upside out of Georgia. Dependent, he's going to be a little landing spot dependent. So if he's the type of player to end up in Washington, bringing back J.D. McKissick, I don't feel as good about James Cook, but I'm intrigued enough about him as a prospect to take a shot on him in the top half of the second round of in one quarterback. And Superflex too, but he's going to be a little bit lower.
There you go. I have James Cook right now at 18.
Okay, so a couple spots back.
But I also have a running back in that slot that we're talking about right now, in the 16 slot, in the 204 slot, and that's Brian Robinson.
I knew it.
Brian Robinson, pure bruiser with 4.5 speed.
Yeah.
The only thing, the knock against him that I see right now, 5-year college starter, and he didn't break out until year 5. Which means he was just bigger and stronger than everybody else on the field. He was a 23-year-old or 22-year-old playing against 19-year-olds, 18-year-olds. So, of course, he's going to look bigger and stronger than all those guys who haven't filled out yet. So that is one knock against Brian Robinson. But by all accounts, he showed out well in the Senior Bowl. He showed out well in the Combine. We weren't expecting him to quite have 4.5 speed, 4.5 speed there. And he projects like a Gus Edwards, Jordan Howard type. And those types, while they're devalued right now, they have immense value. I mean, Jordan Howard was a 3-year fantasy starter for many teams in his heyday before he lost a little bit of his athleticism and was more of a role player or just cut altogether down the road because he couldn't catch the ball. That's Brian Robinson. But again, if I can get 3 years of starter potential or borderline starter potential out of a running back here at 204, I'm taking that. Gus Edwards too. He was a RB3 for 4 straight years. Now he's a little older. He's 28 years old, coming off an injury, so I don't love him all that much anymore. But I mean, if Brian Robinson, I could see Brian Robinson going to the Ravens. I could, and being that insurance policy for running back, 3 running backs that are coming back from big injuries.
Mm-hmm.
So I like Brian Robinson there. And really,
that would be a good fit.
It would.
They already had Melvin Gordon in for a visit. They're clearly looking at the position, and they don't really throw to running backs anyway, the Ravens. It's just not part of their game
Yeah,
plan.
Brian Robinson Brian Robinson to the Ravens. I'm calling it.
As long as Melvin Gordon doesn't sign there.
There you go. Or Devonta Freeman, your favorite.
Hey, don't disrespect Devonta Freeman. He had a nice little career resurgence last year.
Yeah.
I don't expect it to continue, but there will be no Devonta Freeman slander on this channel.
All right, who you got at 17?
So this is a little, this is fluid. If anybody watches ESPN and Stephen A. Smith, it's fluid. I could go up or down on this, maybe more likely down, but I did slot Desmond Ridder all the way up here, despite it being a one quarterback.
Okay.
Again, landing spot's going to be key here, and even more important is going to be draft capital. This is dependent upon the first round. Does Desmond Ridder get drafted in the first round, which is now it's almost like the expectation. If he doesn't, he's going to tumble outside of my top 24. But if he does, I'm willing to go this high. Again, the scarcity at the how enticing this quarterback class is. I'm willing to slot him in the top half of the second round in one quarterback leagues. Again, the intangibles and the tools aren't too far off, arm strength aside, from Malik Willis. So if I'm going to put Malik Willis in the, right at the edge of the bottom half of the first round in one quarterback leagues, I got to put Desmond Ridder in the top half of the second round of one quarterback leagues for your rookie draft. So I got Desmond Ridder at 17.
I don't have any quarterbacks in my second round for one.
That's fine. I'm willing to go. I'm willing to move Desmond Ridder up this high in one quarterback.
My thought process there is looking at and this is really only one snapshot. I understand that. But looking at last year, a 1 QB dynasty league that we were in, Trevor Lawrence went 111.
Right.
Trey Lance went 2-7. Zach Wilson went 2-8. Justin Fields went 2-9. Mac Jones went 2-12.
Yep.
And I would take all those quarterbacks as prospects over Malik Willis. Now, Malik Willis jumps up in our rankings just by default. So, yes, he has the athletic measurables. We put a premium on that. That's why he's in our first round. But Desmond Ridder, yes, Malik Willis would be right behind Mac Jones for me if both of these classes were smushed together. Desmond Ridder would be down where Kellen Mond was being drafted, where Kyle Trask was being drafted in a 1 QB league last year, which means he's a third-round pick.
Okay.
Because the premium on quarterbacks just isn't there in 1 QB. It's not something you have to worry about. I mean, you don't have to spend a second-round pick on a quarterback. I don't believe in that.
Fair enough. There is, the vibes or the whatever you want to call it are ascending on Ridder, which is, I guess, why I slotted him up a little higher.
I'm high on Ridder in 2 QB, just like you. I mean, you saw my rankings. He's firmly in the first round for me, as is Kenny Pickett. That is the emphasis that we put on quarterback in 2 QB. But in 1 QB, unless you're in like a 16, 20 team league where the quarterback does get scarce. If you're in a 12-team league, you could almost punt quarterback until the 4th round in a bad quarterback draft. I'd rather go pretty much any other position until late 3rd in a bad quarterback draft where I'm not getting the first quarterback who comes with the elite measurables that are a Konami code. Yes, Desmond Ridder has that, and I like Desmond Ridder as much as you, but in a 1 QB, I don't have any quarterbacks going in the second round. If Mac Jones in a 1 QB that you and I were in went 2-12, I can't have Desmond Ridder halfway into the first round when he's nowhere near on the spectrum of the quarterbacks that were drafted in the first round last year.
I agree about that from a perspective of Justin Fields and Trey Lance, but
you can agree to disagree there.
Yeah,
At 17,
not Mac Jones for me. I'd rather have Ridder.
Yeah, the athletic upside is a little bit more tantalizing. I believe Mac Jones
Yeah.
I mean, is he
So anyway, I've got him.
Derek Carr ceiling?
That's where I've got him. Yeah, and that's not with much worse weapons. So
right. He's good Baker Mayfield, which means he's a very good QB2.
And boring for fantasy.
Right, but still, we can agree to disagree there on the quarterbacks.
Yeah, that's fine. I have him at 17.
At 17, this is where I have Jalen Tolbert.
Okay.
Admittedly, I am a fan of his, so I have him higher than a lot of people do. You probably have him behind Wan'Dale Robinson. You might even have him behind Calvin Austin. But I like Jalen Tolbert. He comps somewhat to a Adam Thielen. 96th percentile college dominator rating, 96th percentile college target share. So everything you like about Sky Moore, you got to like about Jalen Tolbert. 4.49 speed, so he's a little bit slower, and he had a little bit less of a college target share than Sky Moore. But as a prospect, they look very similar, except Jalen Tolbert is, I believe, 6'1", where Sky Moore is 5'11".
Mm-hmm.
So Jalen Tolbert is a slightly taller, very slightly slower, not significantly, but slightly slower for Sky Moore. So I have no reason to drop Jalen Tolbert until we see the draft capital. Draft capital will change where we have our rankings for a lot of these guys, but right now, Jalen Tolbert 17.
Okay.
Wide receiver.
I have him at the end of the second round, so he does sneak in for me. But I do have him lower than you.
Okay.
So, for whatever that's worth.
Who you got at 18?
This is where I have Brian Robinson.
Okay.
Again.
So we flip-flopped Robinson and Cook.
Yeah, we're not far off on these running backs. It's, I guess, where the quarterback, it's a little different story. But this is where I have Brian Robinson, and then I got another Robinson right after him. But before I get to that Robinson, Brian Robinson, I mean, you kind of already touched on it. First of all, with the running back scarcity, we're pretty much like, this is where it kind of ends as far as, okay, now I'm pivoting positions, and I'll wait until the third round to get my running backs. This is where I'll take this is the last running back I have in the second round. Again, I can be interested in a big-bodied back who has elite speed for a guy his size. Maybe not elite speed on like in general, but for a guy of his makeup.
Okay.
So I have him at 18.
At 18, like I said, I have James Cook, Dalvin Cook's brother. Not as big, but if he's a guy that can grow into his frame. I think he put on something like 10 pounds of muscle since the college season ended and the combine. So he is working to fill out his frame a little bit in preparation for the NFL. And he's faster than Dalvin Cook is.
We like that.
He's faster than Dalvin Cook. James Cook, what did he run? A 4.41, I believe. And he might be the best receiving back in this class. So James Cook,
yeah,
I might end up flip-flopping James Cook and Brian Robinson.
Like.
The more as I'm talking myself into it as we speak. Because best receiving back in the class, 4.41 speed. Dalvin Cook's gonna grow into his frame. He might be what we wanted from Kyren Williams.
Mm-hmm.
He might really be what we wanted and what we expected to get from Kyren Williams. So James Cook, yeah, I might have him up at 16 in a day or two. We'll see. But right now I have him at 18.
Okay, we're not too far off there.
Honestly, I just talked myself into swapping them. So there you go.
Hey, there we go.
There we go. Stay fluid.
There
right?
we
Stay
go.
Fluid. Stephen A. I got James Cook then, 16. Brian Robinson, 18. Nick, you talked me into it without even talking.
There you go.
Boom.
Take it.
Who you got at 19?
The other Robinson. That's Wan'Dale.
Your boy?
Wan'Dale.
All right.
Look, I mean, and again, Brian Robinson is the last running back I have in the second round. So just full disclosure, I don't have any more running backs on my board through 212. But I'm very intrigued by Wan'Dale His comp on player profile is only Scotty Miller, so that doesn't jump off the page at you necessarily. But his college dominator score is good, 75th percentile. His college target share is elite. We like that. He was utilized heavily at Kentucky. And while he doesn't have an elite speed score, he did run a 4.4 in the 40. There's enough there in the metrics where I'm willing to take a shot. Again, I said this earlier when I was talking about Christian Watson at the top of the second round. In what is being perceived as a weak prospect class relative to other classes, I'm willing to do a little bit more swinging for the fences in the second round, and that's what Wandale feels like. There's enough. All it takes is one or two elite metrics for me to be like, yeah, I'll take a shot. And he has one as far as his usage at Kentucky, running a 4.4, only being 5'8". We might only be looking at like a Rondale Moore type of ceiling, and we don't even know what that ceiling is yet. But a player that went in the second round last year of rookie drafts was Rondale Moore. So, I feel okay with taking Wandale at the back half of the second round.
I am a little worried about Wandale.
That's fine.
I have him at 20.
Okay, so you still got him in the second round.
He's still a second
Actually,
round.
you have one spot later than I do.
Right, but I am a little worried. The 5'8" scares me.
Sure.
Yes, he has that elite 99th percentile target share. He also has a 95th percentile breakout age at 18.7. That was his breakout age. But if you were in our members-only stream yesterday, you heard me talk about breakout age and why it's not my favorite metric to judge wide receivers specifically by, or really any prospect. Wandale Robinson, I mean, it's the size. It's literally the size for me. If he was 5'10", I'd have him higher. If he was 5'10", I'd have him over Jalen Tolbert.
That's fair.
But he's 5'8". And that caps your upside. It caps your upside. To me. If you're 5'8", you have somebody comped him to Elijah Moore.
No. Who said that?
And that's I believe that's just wrong. It's just wrong. I think we got to be worried about Wandale Robinson being used in a hybrid role, because he then could turn into Demetric Felton. But yes, if he's used as purely a wide receiver close to the line of scrimmage, he could be Rondale Moore. But remember, Rondale Moore, we liked Rondale Moore because of the landing spot more than what he brought to the table. As soon as we saw him go to a top 5 offense, from a fantasy perspective, people were all in, and Rondale Moore was going in the first round. Now, if he went to a team that we're not super high on, if Wandale Robinson goes to the Detroit Lions or an equitable team, I mean,
Amon-Ra will make sure he never sees the field.
Right. So this is, again, we're getting into the point in this draft where it really is going to be landing spot dependent for me.
Yeah.
But right now I have him at 20.
Okay, there you go.
At 19, I have Dameon Pierce. I'm not shying away from the running backs in the second round because, again, it's one QB, emphasis on running backs. Dameon Pierce was a Senior Bowl riser. He's another Gus Edwards, Jordan Howard type. So between him and Brian Robinson, I don't see much distinction. So I have them basically right around the same spot. Like I said, I switched James Cook and Brian Robinson there. So at 18 and 19, Brian Robinson, Dameon Pierce.
I do not have Pierce in the second round.
Okay.
He falls to the third round for me. Again, like I said, I don't have any more running backs on my board. Spoiler alert. Yes, you are. He had a great Senior Bowl, but just nothing. I don't want to poo-poo a guy too much, but just nothing jumps off the page. There's not one thing he does spectacularly, which is why he's a guy I'd love to grab in the third round.
Okay. And yeah, I mean, landing spot is going to change a lot of things here.
Sure. But in the second round,
if Khalil Shakir gets a good landing spot, and I don't like Dameon Pierce's landing spot, then I mean, come at me after the draft, and you'll probably see Khalil Shakir in his spot or something like that. So yeah. I mean, at this point, really, Really, after James Cook, it's landing spot dependent. So really, we're just kind of naming guys that we kind of
are
like
intrigued
at this point.
by.
Yes, exactly. Intrigued by, but are not set in stone by any means, unless you're talking about Jelani Woods.
101.
Boom.
We'll wrap up these rankings real quick because we are coming to the end of the second round, and then we will get back to the chat before we
jump into Superflex.
Before we bring home the Superflex rankings. So if anybody's got any questions or comments, we see y'all. Just hang tight. We will get to you. Just want to wrap these up.
Yes, sir. Who got at 20?
Okay, I don't know if I feel great about this. This kind of feels like an Isaiah Spiller ranking. I got David Bell, who has been a faller this draft, was originally being mocked as high as the second round of rookie drafts, and I'm sure there are some, not that I saw it, but we're probably creeping him into the end of the first round of rookie drafts. Again, this was early in the preseason. He has been a big faller, did not have a good combine. What did he run, like a 4.6 40? Overall, as a prospect, has not done himself any favors this offseason. I still think he's going to be drafted relatively high. He could be a day 2 or 3 pick in the NFL draft. But the vibes they've been going down on David Bell, not up. Because he was originally being mocked much higher, not much higher, but several spots higher, I am still sneaking him into the second round, but I'm putting him at a spot where I don't anticipate getting him. And honestly, if it's between him and some of these last 2 or 3 players I have at the end of the second round, I'm likely swinging the fences on them over David Bell. But I have him at 20.
And I have Wan'Dale Robinson at 20, like I said before. I do not have David Bell in my second round, and that's just because I don't like him.
That's fine. That's fine.
Yeah, and yes, principally speaking, I should have him in there because really before the combine, we were talking about it was either going to be George Pickens or David Bell at the turn. That's where David Bell was, and then David Bell had a terrible combine. So to me, he's one of those guys where he's completely off my board. Maybe he gets a good landing spot, and we'll see. At 21. And some of y'all are going to be like, what? But this is where I have my Isaiah Spiller type, where it's just, this is strictly based on principle. This is not somebody that I'm drafting here.
Yep.
Trey McBride. This is where Trey McBride should slot in. Highest floor of any tight end in this draft. But as you guys know, I go for ceiling at tight end, not floor, because I don't want an unexciting tight end. There's nothing worse to me at the tight end position than an unexciting tight end.
Yeah, I don't want Austin Hooper. No offense,
Trey
Austin.
McBride is less athletic Adam Troutman.
And we want athletes at the tight end position.
Right. So, yes, Trey McBride slots in here for me at 21. Comps to Eric Ebron. He is the consensus tight end 1 in this draft. He's not mine, but he's the consensus tight end 1 in this draft. And, yes, he is the safest tight end to be drafting. I don't draft safe when it comes to tight end.
Nah.
So, really, if I was at the 209 spot and there wasn't anybody else that I was really in love with, I'd be taking Jelani there, but right now in my rankings, I got to put the unexciting tight end who has a higher floor ahead of him in the rankings. Because if Jelani Woods doesn't hit that athletic ceiling that his RAS shows promise for, that's why Jelani Woods is a little bit below him. I would still rather have Woods at the spot, but right now that's where I would have Trey McBride. That's around where I would expect Trey McBride to get drafted, which again factors in for me here, which is why I had the 209. I moved out of the 209. So, so that's yes. But yeah.
Rest in peace.
There, 20 at spot 21 in the draft, I have Trey McBride, and I'm staying away.
I have McBride at 24. So he does sneak into the second round at the end of the second round for me. But I agree. I've been talked off McBride enough to still put him in the second round, but in a position where I don't likely end up with him. I can't believe I have Jelani Woods higher than you.
What did I just tell you?
I know.
What did I just say? What did I just say?
Know.
Yes, I know.
I have Jelani at 21.
Okay.
And again,
I do too, but my rankings, I gotta, if people are going, I do too, though. Really, is what I basically just said. But when I'm penciling it in, yes, I have Trey McBride over him, but I would rather have Jelani Woods than Trey McBride.
McBride is the safer prospect. Jelani is the swing for the fences. And if I'm going to stay consistent with my mantra that I have, been hammering the table on so far, this stream is the second round this year. I'm swinging for the fences because the prospects are not as a clear cut as the depth that we might be expecting in 2023 and beyond. So I'm down to swing for the fences in the second round, and Jelani Woods is a deep stash and hope, and could easily never amount to a whole lot from a fantasy perspective, but the RAS score is a fun kind of, I don't know if not tell-all is not the right word, but it is a metric that is pretty fair as far as, okay, we can at least have expectations for these guys. And Jelani Woods, John did a phenomenal RAS video for the members, has the highest RAS score here, is the high upside swing for the fences. You're going to have to wait 2 or 3 years on him type of player. But in this back half of the second round, with a bunch of I don't knows at this point in the draft, I'm willing to take Jelani Woods as high as the 209.
As am I, as you know. But
there you go.
Yeah.
I got him at 21.
For the sake of penciling it in, I got Trey McBride at 21. And I have Jelani Woods right now at 24, even though I would take. So basically, my rankings are a fraud. My rankings are a fraud. I have Jelani Woods basically at 21 too. All right.
Josh telling you don't listen to his rankings, basically.
Yeah. All right. So
just flip-flop them like I did.
22.
Okay. This is where I have Jalen Tolbert. And you kind of have talked me into Tolbert as a prospect again. He's he's a wait and see. I'm not sure how much we're probably not looking at a whole lot year one, but if the landing spot is good, if the draft capital is day 3-ish, we can have some expectations here. You've already talked enough about Jalen Tolbert, so I'm not going to try to pile on to that or add on to that. I just have him at number 22, so at the 210.
All right, at 22, this is where I have Calvin Austin. And
okay.
Calvin Austin, he is he's Wan'Dale Robinson with more speed and less of a college target share. He's 5'8", 170 pounds. Who does that sound a lot like? Tutu Atwell. So you got to be a little bit worried by that. But from a size speed comp, on player profile, if you look at his comp, it's Marquise Brown. 4.32 speed, elite speed.
That is elite.
Elite speed, and he has a catch radius. He has the requisite agility. He has the requisite burst score. 15. He just doesn't have the production that you saw from Wan'Dale Robinson. So you have to keep that in mind. But the college target share isn't bad. It's 86th percentile target share.
Yeah, that's good.
He also doesn't have the breakout age that Wan'Dale Robinson has.
We don't care about that.
But yes, like to your point, I don't really care about it unless it comes on it's the icing on the cake. The breakout age should be the icing on the cake prospect metric.
Not the end all be all.
He has the college target share and the dominator rating and the college yards per route, and he's fast, and on top of it, he has that breakout age. Great. Woo. Now I'm all in. But Calvin Austin the third can't teach speed, 4.3 speed, and if yes, his floor is Tutu Atwell, but his ceiling, Marquise Brown, I'll take that. in late in the second round.
Yeah, being only 5'8", you have to have similar concerns that you voiced for Wan'Dale Robinson, but 4.3 speed is fun. 4.3 speed is fun. My rankings are fluid. I had Calvin Austin more of a third-round pick, but I'm going to slide him into spot 2022 or 211 because you just convinced me.
There you go. And you've been a real big fan of Marquise Brown for years when other people weren't.
I like Marquise Brown.
So, yeah.
By the way, I feel like he's a sneaky buy this offseason because
yes, he is.
I think he's a sneaky buy this offseason.
He was the wide receiver. The wide receiver 5 through 7 games. 8 games.
Before Lamar went down, he was a clear wide receiver 1.
Yeah,
clear. Full disclosure, I did have a very boring Justin Ross pick at the 211 originally. Again, feels like an Isaiah Spiller type of situation, David Bell type of situation. But the rankings are fluid. So I'm pulling Ross out, moving him to the third round. And
hey, I had Ross at 212. And
bumping Calvin Austin up.
Come on now, Jelani. So, yeah. So, yeah.
So I got Calvin Austin at the 211. Officially, lock it in.
At the 211, I have everybody's least favorite running back outside of Isaiah Spiller in this year's draft. That's Kyren Williams.
Oof. He did not make my second round.
That's where I have Kyren. Because before the draft, or before the combine, people were talking about him like Austin Eckler. Now, the combine illuminated some things. He is not Austin Eckler. But can he be James White? James White had basically the same amount of speed that Kyren Williams had, and James White was a very productive fantasy running back / wide receiver hybrid when he was on the Patriots. All he needs is a good landing spot with a team that's going to utilize him as such. If he goes to a bad team, he could look like Bilal Powell. Bilal Apple. Your boy.
Bill Apple.
Bill Apple. If y'all remember a few years ago on the Jets, Bilal Powell. He was Isaiah Crowell and Chris Ivory's running mate, right?
Should have been the
Jets.
RB1 in that offense, but I digress.
And he was sneakily an RB3 for like 2 years.
I was always a fan of Bill Apple.
Yeah, man. So if you can, everybody's down on Kyren Williams. If he can come in and be on a bad team and be Bill Apple, Bilal Powell, I don't hate that.
One of the best names.
It is one of the best names. It is one
Bill
of the best
Apple,
names.
man.
But if he can come in and be on a bad team, Bilal Powell, I'm all for it. If he can come in to a team that's going to use him the right way and be James White, athletically speaking, not the fastest guy either, just made it work. Not the biggest guy ever, just made it work when he was specifically on the Patriots. As soon as he left the Tom Brady, Bill Belichick situation there, his career kind of fell off a cliff. But yeah, I mean, if he can go to the perfect situation, he can be a high-end RB2 in PPR leagues, a low-end RB1 like James White was, like Dion Lewis was for a few years, like Chris Thompson was. Now Chris Thompson it was the Washington football team at the time, or it was the name before the Washington football team at the time, and it did take him a few years. But these receiving backs, he doesn't have the speed of a Nyheim Hines, but if the landing spot's right, these smaller receiving backs have value. So that's where I have Kyren Williams. I know everybody likes to hate on him because of his combine, and I will to a certain extent. I'll drop him out of my first round. I'll drop him out of the top end of the second. But if I can get something in between James White and Bilal Powell in the late second, I'm going to do it.
I don't have Kyren in the second round. He has fallen to the third round for me, but I hear the upside potential as far as arguing in his favor. He has just been such a significant faller to the point where I have to bump him to the third round. And maybe he kind of kicks off the conversation for me of, not that I expect him to fall to the third round in most rookie drafts, but that's where I'd be looking to start trying to nab running backs, and he would be first up.
Okay.
And then
wouldn't be Pierre Strong, your boy? If you have a choice in the top of the third between Pierre Strong and Kyren Williams, who are you going with? The super speedy guy or the guy that has no speed?
I'll take a shot on Kyren. But I expect to end up with Pierre because I expect Kyron to be gone by then.
Got you.
And then I round out my second round with Trey McBride.
And I round basically with Trey McBride too.
There you go.
You know that I already switched. Jelani Woods is in the 21 spot in my rankings now, on paper and in my brain. I'm not leaving. I'm basically not leaving in a dynasty rookie draft this year without Jelani Woods. And if I do, I don't care if I get Garrett Wilson and Chris Olave and Jameson Williams on my team. If I end up without Jelani Woods, I'll be heartbroken.
Sad.
I'll be heartbroken, dude.
You'll feel like you said, where did I go wrong?
I'll be reevaluating my life. Like it'll get bad. You're
gonna be tweeting at him. I'm sorry, I failed you.
Yeah, I already got the tweet saved. It's already drafted.
There you go.
Yep. All right, let's get to this chat, y'all. Thanks for being patient.
We will. Yeah, thanks for hanging with us. Hopefully this has been...
Who brought up Toby Gerhardt? Wow, and Darius Geis within 2 chats of each other?
Yeah.
Damn, what are we talking about?
We're going way back.
Wow.
Rojo, bro, what was the name of the white boy who backed up all day in Minnesota? That's what it was. And it's Gerhardt.
Yep.
Good. There you go. And as far as Geis to Atlanta, I don't know. Are we of the belief that Geis gets another chance?
No.
Has there been any whispers?
If the talent
SI wrote an article about him 2 days ago.
If he had the same talent as a Kareem Hunt, then yes, he would have been back in the league by now. But the fact is, if you go look at Darius Geis's game logs on the Washington team, they weren't good. He got passed up for AD.
Yeah.
AD, a 34-year-old, 35-year-old AD started over Geis for the majority of Geis's tenure while he was on the Washington team. And that should say everything you need to know. I don't think Darius Geis gets another shot in the league.
Both the knee injury and his off-field issues. I'm paraphrasing an article on SI. Both situations could be resolved, and he could be eyeing a return to the NFL. He was at the Hub football camp. Sorry, I'm not totally familiar with what the Hub football camp is.
There was like a report where he was like molesting an elderly woman, and it got it got weird there for a while.
Ugly.
Like outside of the leg injury and him getting kicked out of the league for whatever he did the first time, bro, he was doing some weird stuff while he was out of the league.
3 counts of battery in 2020, assault, along with 1 count of destruction of property.
He's out. I'm sorry.
Charges were dropped last year. Geis is now eligible to sign with an NFL team.
This is the most replaceable position in the NFL right now. It's running back.
Yeah.
You really think a team's going to go sign that guy?
He slipped my mind, so I'm not exactly expecting a whole lot at this point.
No, I don't think so. I don't think so, Slim.
We'll see, I guess.
But yo, I got to go French toast. By far.
Yeah, that's tough to pass up.
By far, it's French
They're
toast.
all great. Yeah, really? Not
and
a
then
conversation?
it's waffles, and then it's pancakes. Yep.
Honestly, I don't care. I don't eat enough of them enough to like have a preference, but I'll say French toast will take the cake for me.
My mom used to make me French toast as like a little thing in the morning before school. Like
French
toast is my jam.
Dang, before school. That's some dedication because you don't have a lot of time in the morning before school and work
She's
and
a
all
real
that.
One, dude.
French toast takes time.
Yeah, man.
I mean, they all take waffles.
Well,
I guess.
Yeah.
Well, you could throw an Eggo waffle in the toaster. I guess that's one thing, but you can't do that with French toast. I don't know.
But yeah, I mean, waffles got the syrup trap, so waffles over pancakes for sure. And
the
French
waffle,
toast.
they box them in, so to speak, the syrup. So that's nice.
You don't end up with just like a big ass plate of syrup at the end of it. You know what I mean? With pancakes, you kind of do. There are worse things. But yeah, there you go. What about you, Slim?
What you do is if you end up with that pool of syrup, is hopefully you have like something like some hash browns or something to mop that stuff up at the end.
Yeah, but in a vacuum, bro.
Oh, the French toast takes the cake
Yeah.
for me because it's essentially cake.
Now, Alec Pierce, Rojo, is a guy that we haven't even mentioned yet.
He's one of those third-round targets that where I'm hoping to grab him.
He's one of the third-round targets where I would pass up getting him for a running back. That's where he's at. That's where he kind of fills in.
Okay, fair enough. There's enough wide receivers. There's enough wide receivers that I do like ahead of Pierce where he falls a little bit for me. Did I say running back? I meant wide receiver. Sorry. I spent so much time saying I'm out on, or I don't have any more running backs. No, he's a wide receiver. I know that. Yeah, if I can get him in the third, okay. But yeah, at that point, I'm hoping to get a swing for the fences guy that we mentioned at wide receiver in the second round. And then yeah, I'm looking like where he is. I might be looking at running backs. So it's just a numbers front, or it's a positional, it's a need situation when it comes to that point in the draft.
Yeah.
If things fall the way that I.
No, he's fast, 4.41 speed. He's 6'3". So yeah, I mean, if everything pans out, he could be good, but he's just going at a spot right now where I'm not gonna be picking him up.
Probably not.
In his senior year, 14 games, he only managed 52 receptions on 85 targets for 884 yards. That's not quite a red flag for me, but I'd rather have some guys who were more productive in their senior year in college or junior year in college over a guy like that.
Mm-hmm.
I do like the size-speed combination, but that type of receiver is the type of receiver that I would be taking in the fourth round, and he's not going to be there. So I'm probably going to be out on Alec Pierce.
Yeah.
Slim, yes, the league is moving towards smaller wide receivers, but it's not necessarily smaller. It's just more versatile.
Yeah.
The bigger guys aren't agile. They don't typically have the burst. They don't typically get the separation. And the smaller guys, we're talking 6'1" and under to maybe around 5'10", do. Sometimes a 5'9" guy too, but then the height situation comes into play there.
Yeah, it's almost like, and I guess this is like a hypothetical argument that I'm just like formulating in my head, but it's almost like, why worry about a guy who can, like, why worry about 50-50 contested catches if you can just get a dude who can run faster than the other guy, or just can just outmaneuver him because he's
doing.
Or you can just outmaneuver him because our receiver is much more, his route tree is just so polished and whatever, as opposed to like, let's just chuck it up and hope for the best.
Yeah.
There's a little bit more scheming going on in the pass game these days. And yeah, that favors your shiftier players who happen to be smaller. So yeah. Yeah. As far as Jelani Woods in redraft,
no.
Rojo, I agree. This is not the year. Yes, we're hype on Jelani Woods, but not for 2022. We need to wait. And we probably need to wait until 2024 is the absolute earliest where we could start having Jelani Woods expectations. And even then, that might be the year where everyone's a year too early on him. Like, this is a long-term, let the cake bake type of situation.
Yeah, I mean, you look at other guys where he's comparable to. I know he's comparable to a Jimmy Graham. Jimmy Graham came in and lit the world on fire. He's also comparable to, in more recent seasons, he's more comparable to a Darren Waller, Logan Thomas type. He actually converted from, I believe, quarterback. So he is on that Logan Thomas timeline, or that Logan Thomas track, as somebody who converted from quarterback. I could be wrong on that. I'm pretty sure he was a quarterback at some point in his high school or college career. But yeah, it's gonna take him a while. It's gonna take him a while. So in redraft for the next 2 seasons, unless we see him really just turn it on and become Jimmy Graham in his first or second season, I am not grabbing Jelani Woods, despite how high I am on him yet. But in his third season, Am I taking a flyer on him if he hasn't broken out yet? Absolutely, because that could be the year where he starts to break out. But we've seen it with, we've seen it with tight ends. It takes a while.
That's that 20th round best ball pick on Underdog in 2024. And yeah, he was a dual threat quarterback at Oklahoma State actually before he transferred to Virginia. So it wasn't even high school. He in college he changed positions. So like so even shorter timeline. So he even steeper learning curve that he has at the position. So this is a long-term play with Jelani Woods, but that's what we're doing when we play Dynasty. Got to coach him up. That's why we need taxi squads, right?
Yes, exactly.
Good reminder.
Then Derrick Henry, Sad J, I'm staying away. To him, to me.
Yeah.
I mean, I've almost done a full 180 where at the end of last year, I was like, yo, I've doubted this guy enough, and he just keeps performing. At this point, I'm going to treat him like an Adrian Peterson until he proves me otherwise. But now I'm starting to get worried because, again, isn't he 28 years old, going on 29?
I think so.
Coming off a Jones fracture, which is tough.
I hate that
and
injury.
The team technically did rush him back. So if we're making any corollaries between Sammy Watkins and Derrick Henry, there is technically one to be made there. Jones fracture. The team rushed him back for some playoff hopes. Mm-hmm. And yes, he was a monster, but if you look at, he was getting more touches than any running back last year when he was hot too. So yes, you can point to Derrick Henry was getting like 8 more points than the next running back through 6 weeks.
Yeah.
But he was also getting like 10 more touches than any running back through 8 weeks too. And that counts. That matters. And I mean, we saw as soon as he left, the team didn't miss a beat when they had Donta Foreman and Dontrell Hilliard in there playing basically the Derrick Henry role in tandem.
Derrick Henry went down and the team still ended up with the 1 seed.
Right, so I'm really wary of Derrick Henry. I am.
Yeah, I hate Jones fractures, man. Anytime I hear Jones fracture, I don't care who you are. I'm worried about your short-term prospects. And when I'm worried about your short-term prospects when you're a 28-year-old running back, that means I'm automatically worried about you for the rest of your career at this point anyway. I would love to be wrong because Derrick Henry I think he's stamped his Hall of Fame argument at this point. I think he has. He's put together some elite seasons back to back. Yeah, sorry, I finished it off. Back to back. I think he has stamped his Hall of Fame argument, and I hope he does. I hope he gets that jacket. But man, to your point about the touches, I think he had like 220 carries through 8 games through the injury last year. He had more carries in half a season than most running backs see touches for the whole season.
Yeah.
This man has been ridden into the ground. And I know he's different. Everybody, I'm built different. That's like that's what all the kids say these days, right? It applies to Derrick Henry, like legitimately. That man is different. But he's still getting close. He's not too far. He's about 400 touches away from that 1,800 career carry threshold. And at his workload rate, he'll hit that this season. It'll take till the end of the season, but he'll hit it. And after that, if he even gets that far, because Jones fractures are high-risk re-injury type of situations.
That he rushed back from and played on.
Right. I have severe concerns. About King Henry.
Yeah, I'm not taking a stab on him in the first round.
You got to take him 4th overall if you want him.
Yeah, and I'm not. There's a list of running backs that I'm basically staying away from this year, and he's not at the top, but he's close.
Like, I'll take Cooper Kupp over him and just play it safe.
You know me. I've been a fan of taking wide receivers when everybody's taking running backs, basically unless I have a top 3 pick in redraft. I took Devontae Adams last year. The year before that, I took Devontae Adams again.
Yeah, that worked out fine.
Yeah. But yeah, those are our thoughts on Henry, and maybe in a live stream pretty soon we'll go through some of these redraft running backs that we don't like and that we're staying
that could
away
be good.
from.
Could be post-draft exercise when we know the landing spots.
Yeah. So Sajay's got a question for you.
What's that? Oh, my squad. I am an Eagles fan. For better or worse. Born and raised in Philly. Didn't care about football until I was maybe a teenager, 12 or 13 years old. I don't know what I was doing as a kid, but I was not into sports. My dad got me into it. My dad is a diehard. He's a little even keeled now because he's in his 60s. He's not a crazed typical what you think of as a Philly fan, as an outsider. But my dad got me into it. Got me into football. Got me into the Eagles. When my first memories of football were the Packers and the 49ers, because they had Jerry Rice and Steve Young on one side and Brett Favre on the other. And from what I remember as an 8-year-old, they were the only two teams in the league. So my super early memories of football are very narrow and very kind of cloudy. I feel like the first time I remember seeing other football players was I distinctly remember the Pro Bowl. And I was like, why are all these dudes wearing the same color jersey but different helmets? And then the Eagles drafted Donovan McNabb, and there was actually there was actually some excitement about the Eagles for the first time. I don't remember the first 10 games of that season because McNabb was on the bench, but when they were out of it, when the Eagles were like, okay, we're out of it, this was that. Then they brought McNabb in. He didn't start week 1 of his rookie season. That's the first game. That's the very first game I have. I don't remember the whole game, but that's the first game I have memories of, where it's this is who our family roots for. This is the team. This is who we care about. I remember Donovan's first start. And like you said, the rest is history. They went on a great run for the better part of a decade, where they were one of the better teams year in, year out. They didn't win a Super Bowl with McNabb, but that was my introduction into becoming an Eagles fan. And also, naturally being from Philly, again, born and raised, it wasn't even a decision. It was just this is my team. So, yeah.
And honestly, I had a little choice. I had a decision to make because my mother is from Milwaukee, that whole family. And literally the first football game I ever saw was the Green Bay Denver Super Bowl that Green Bay won. That was the first time I was exposed to football. For a while there, I used to mess with my dad and tell him I was a Green Bay Packers fan. But once I really got into fantasy, I had to choose a team. And once I started playing Madden with the guys in college, I had to choose a team, and I chose the Bills. And it's been that way ever since.
There you go. Now it's your squad.
Yeah. All right. You're welcome, AB. Jelani Woods.
Grab him at the back half of the second round and don't look back.
Just not in redraft.
Right.
And Sajay, the listener league dynasty situations that we're going to be setting up, the leagues that we're going to be setting up, whether that's zombie or guillotine or redraft or dynasty or whatever, that is going to be for members only. So that is a members only perk.
The members perk, yeah.
So, yeah.
If that entices you. But that is a members perk. But once we get to, 12 people or 14 people, best believe we will have that set up.
Honestly, we could probably set up a guillotine league now, because guillotine, it's not the worst performing team just gets cut. All of his players go to waivers, and everybody's got a super team, so you don't have to really worry about super teams.
Yeah,
you're just trying to pick the best people for the next week. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, we might be able to set up some sort of guillotine situation sooner than later. but we still need to wait on that, and I think that's going to be something that we approach significantly after the draft.
There we go.
Do you think the Browns need a backup?
For what? Like a quarterback?
I mean, they got Deshaun Watson. They got Baker Mayfield, who's probably going to move.
Baker's gone. Well,
they got Jacoby Brissett.
They signed Josh Dobbs today, too, I think. Yeah, I think they signed Josh Dobbs.
Ugh.
So, yes? Yes? I guess they do. Especially because if there's any expectation, and there is, that Watson gets suspended, I mean, you need somebody to hold down the fort for 6, 8, however many games it is, if the Browns are trying to make the playoffs this year. And if they get the word that Deshaun Watson's going to play at some point in 2022, I don't care when it is, the Browns are going to have playoff aspirations. So, I mean, Jacoby Brissett could hold it down.
He can, but I would like to see the Browns trade Baker Mayfield to the Seattle Seahawks for Drew Lock and a pick.
Yeah.
Right?
They might just hold on. They're going to try to – I think they're going to try to hold on to Drew Lock, Seattle, because he was a part of the Russell Wilson trade to begin with.
Yeah, but, I mean, if you're really looking for an upgrade and you're in Seattle, I mean, Baker Mayfield is an upgrade on Drew Lock.
Yeah.
You wouldn't have to send as much of a pick package back to get Baker Mayfield. If you gave Drew Lock back, it'd be Drew Lock in a 6th or 7th round pick. I'm pretty sure that something like that would get it done. And if I was a Seattle front office, I would try to do something like that, because I know you like Drew Lock. I like Drew Lock the person. I don't know how good of a football player he is.
Yeah, I agree on that. I think a 5th rounder gets it done for Baker at this point. Maybe a 4th.
With all the news that's been coming out lately about what Baker's been saying on different people's podcasts.
Yeah, he's driving his own value down. Yeah. I'll pivot. I think I originally said yes, they need a backup. I'll pivot on that. I think Jacoby Brissett is good enough to hold down the fort, because again, that roster is still pretty good. The defense is good. The offensive line is good. The run game is good. That's what they would do. They would be ground and pound. They would go old school for as long as they need to. They would run the ball and stop the run. That's what the Browns would preach. They would probably try to go 500 in those games. Tread water until Watson comes back. So I think Jacoby Brissett in that regard is good enough.
I mean, I think the Browns could just grab Cam Newton, but the other guys out there are like Josh Rosen, AJ McCarron, Mike Glennon, and Ryan Fitzpatrick.
No.
Yeah, I mean, I'd say Fitzpatrick, but I think he's pretty much done, unless he wants to just go and get one more jersey for his collection and literally be the quarterback that's played for the most teams in the NFL and just get that Browns jersey. Because I do not think he's played for the Browns yet. Maybe we see that, but I think he's pretty much done. So, yeah. And yeah, French toast undefeated, Slim. Crepes sounds like a Talladega Nights scene. Yeah, man, crepes are overrated.
All jacked up on Mountain Dew.
Crepes are overrated.
Hunter, I think Hunter does not like the Derrick Henry slander.
I'm sorry, Hunter. You can have him in our dynasty leagues when we set them up.
There you go. He wouldn't go undrafted.
Look, if Derrick Henry fell into the mid-second, late second, then yeah, you have no choice but to take him. But he's not gonna be. There's no way he's gonna be there. So I'm just not gonna have any Derrick Henry. I'm just not. But there are many other younger running backs that at this point I think I would rather have just to play it safe.
Yeah, what's the in redraft with Derrick Henry? Yeah, I mean this. I can't believe I'm saying this, but the second round, because not only there's a lot of good young receivers I want in the first round too. I love Justin Jefferson this year. I'm fine with Jamar Chase. I'll still take Devontae Adams. it looks like Melvin Gordon's moving on, I'm taking Javonte Williams. He is firmly in the first round of redraft.
I mean,
now.
Nick will take Deontay
Najee.
Johnson ahead of Derrick Henry. Let's be real.
All right, I'm not that crazy. I'm not that crazy.
What's the greatest?
I do love me some Deontay.
John is a traitor. Damn, yo.
Woo, man. I mean, I was poo-pooing him too. But
hey, man.
I'm not the traitor. I'm not the traitor.
Hey,
I'll take it.
You're about to be kicked out of the Discord.
Oh, no.
I'm playing.
War. We got a rivalry brewing before the league even gets set up.
Oh, man. Yo, what's the greatest sports moment you've witnessed? And if you say the Eagles Super Bowl,
live?
you gonna say the Eagles Super Bowl?
Or Philly? The Eagles. Sorry, I threw live on there. In general, yeah, I mean the Philly special, which led to the Super Bowl. I saw the Eagles win the Super Bowl. That was the greatest. And I was there. And I moved out of Philly like a couple months later, which I already knew was happening. So like it was the perfect send off. So that it's that. Live, I always default to I got to see Ken Griffey Jr. hit a home run. But he wasn't on one of my favorite teams. He was the opponent, but it's Ken Griffey Jr. So
right.
I feel like I've been to plenty of games. I don't think I've ever like witnessed live anything spectacular, unfortunately. Yeah.
The greatest sports moment I've ever witnessed is Antonio Brown taking his shirt off and going. No, I'm playing. Honestly, one of the greatest sports moments I gotta say, and it kills me. One of the greatest sports moments in recent memory. It was against my team. It probably had to do something with that 13 seconds. I mean, that was legitimately great. It just
that game
like
was
nothing
phenomenal.
else. But that whole game and that last finish to the Bills-Chiefs game in last year's playoffs was legitimately great. It just killed my soul. But it was legitimately great. It was legitimately one of the greater sports moments I've ever witnessed for my team. So if I had to make one for my team, it's that. Greatest sports moment in general. I mean, I was at Nick's place wearing an Eagles jersey during that Eagles Super Bowl, and Nick lived right next to the Rocky Steps, the Art Museum steps. So like literally, we walked 3 blocks, and we were the first people at the Philadelphia steps, jumping up and down. And then I left because I didn't want to get murdered. And it wasn't my team, so it was just like, all right, I need to go home before
there were a lot
people
of people
start
that
eating
did
poop
show
on the
up
street.
eventually.
Yeah,
that happened.
That happened. Philly, special place.
No, yeah.
But
hell of a place.
And yo, Sad J, sorry to hear about that.
Yeah.
Sorry to hear about that.
Hey, I mean, but you got those. You have the memories.
And y'all got a Super Bowl against the Bills. So
his pops did. He's a Bears fan. He got his against the Patriots. So there you go.
Hey, love that.
His against the Patriots.
And the SNL skit, yeah, that was a great skit.
It was good.
And Slim, Zombie League, we're going to try to do something like that. Let's run through this chat real quick and then get to the Super Flex because we're almost coming up to 2 hours here.
We are. Phil, we did a lot of heavy lifting with the one quarterback. It'll just be filtering the quarterbacks in, and then we'll post our top 24 rankings as a community post so everybody can see them. Anyway.
I mean, there were some other great football memories. I mean, if you are a Patriots fan, seeing the Patriots come back in that Atlanta New England game was legitimately great. It was a complete failure of the Atlanta team, but it was legitimately a great comeback.
It was a great game.
There were a bunch of there's been a bunch of real good sports memories over the past 12 years.
I mean, we're just
Aaron Rodgers' first Hail Mary, great.
Was that the one
San
in
Antonio
Arizona?
Home Super Bowl catch? Amazing.
That was stupid. That catch was dumb. Like, that catch was unbelievable. One of the best catches you'll ever see. And And whatever, that Bears Colts Super Bowl where the opening play is Devin Hester running like 100, 105.
Devin Hester needs to be in the Hall of Fame.
I think he will be ultimately.
I really hope so.
He's the greatest returner ever. If you're the best at one thing, even if it's something like that, you got to be in.
Yeah, and if you're the best at your position or top 2 at your position for a 3-year span, I believe that puts you in line to be in the Hall of Fame, and that's why we were talking about Derrick Henry possibly having already written his ticket.
I think he's punched his ticket, yeah.
He was been, if not the second best, the best running back in the league.
Yeah.
And he has defied time already.
Yeah.
So, yeah, he's great. He's great. Just not going to be drafting him.
At that point, yeah.
Yeah.
AB's staking his claim already.
Devin Hester run back to open the Super Bowl kickoff. Yeah, man.
That's what I said. Yeah, insane. Like he opened the opening play was like 105 some odd 108 yard kickoff return for a touchdown.
Yeah.
It was like, oh, okay, insane. This is gonna be fun.
Dude was wild.
The rest of that game was kind of lame though. And yeah, probably don't want to remember the rest of it.
And yo, Sad J, I hope so. Don't get my hopes up. But it is hard not to root
like
for
his
him.
chances.
At this point, Patrick Mahomes has lost all likability to me, and I think that has a lot to do with his brother.
His family.
But, yeah, I mean, he was likable for a little bit now, but now I just like, all right, you've won too much. GTFO. There needs to be someone new in here. I'm really glad he wasn't in the Super Bowl again this year. I'm glad it was, if not Josh Allen, there was Joe Burrow, there was first-time Super Bowl
Joey
attendee Matt Stafford, and then first-time Super Bowl winner Matt Stafford. So, yeah, I like that the NFL switched it up a little bit, and Patrick Mahomes wasn't back, and it wasn't another Patrick Mahomes, Tom Brady Super Bowl.
Yeah, I was fine with it.
Tracy Porter interception. Oh, man.
That sold it. I mean, or sealed it. That sealed that game. That like when he was running before he hit the end zone, you knew the game was over. You knew the game was over. That I can only imagine what the Saints fans were feeling at that time when Tracy Porter picked off Peyton Manning before the run back, before he even hit the end zone. I was like, that's it. That's game.
Yo, Rojo. Oh my god. Or Rojo. I'm sorry. I keep.
Oh,
Oh, that got me.
The Falcons.
Play in traffic. Oh man. That's great.
Oh, yeah. I agree. Yeah, I agree. I can't stand either one of them. They're such a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
I can't stand either one of them. Did you see the video that was captured? They were like courtside at a basketball game, and apparently Pat like whispered something about to his wife, like she's got resting bitch face and she needs to chill out, something like that. And so she like started mocking him when he like looked away and started paying attention to the game.
No.
You didn't see that?
No, I try not to pay attention to Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah, I try to avoid anytime anytime that his family comes up on Twitter, I'm like, it's time, Pat. End this. Just pull in Aaron Rodgers. All you have to do is just not talk to them.
I mean, his brother's the most obnoxious. I mean,
it's his tie between him and his
estrange
wife.
Yourself from somebody like that who's just like clearly
He's
just a
too much.
leecher. But regardless, let's get back to some football talk here. There are at least some other sports related topics. AB Julio Urias last pitch in the World Series.
When was that?
I don't know enough about baseball, so I did see Mark McGwire hit a touchdown, or not a touchdown. Hit a touchdown, a home run, and during the run between him and Sammy Sosa. But,
he's on the Dodgers. That's right. Oh, AB, right? AB's in L.A. That right? Dodgers. It got to be a Dodgers fan, and they got their championship. Was that 2020? I think it was. Yeah, that was 2020 when the series was in Texas. They held it at like a neutral site. Yeah, that's right.
And Hunter L, assuming our Dynasty League won't start up until after the NFL draft, how will that work in the draft for the league? I mean, there's a startup draft, and then we don't have a rookie draft.
Yeah,
you could do both. You could hold the rookie draft after the startup draft, and we could technically hold 2 drafts, but it doesn't really matter if it happens before or after the NFL draft. We
might start with like a guillotine or zombie redraft league. I mean, if everyone's pounding the table for a dynasty startup, we can look into it. But I think the original thought was, at least for 2022, like maybe more of a redraft format, but make it something fun, like a zombie, like a guillotine. But we'll figure it out.
Once we approach our
we still need some
mates.
We need some additional members.
I mean, maybe we'll hold a drawing amongst the first members that we have to see who can get a spot there. But we'll see. I mean, we'll approach that later. But it's definitely going to happen, y'all. It's definitely going to happen. I know that's one of the reasons why y'all sign up as a member to play in Dynasty League and play in some other leagues against us. That is going to happen. Just got to be a little bit patient about it.
Yeah.
And AB, don't hate. I got a one-track mind, and it's all football. So as soon as you go to baseball, I start talking about soccer goals and hockey hip checks. Like it gets weird. So let's stick to football.
Go sports, win the points.
Basically.
Right.
3-point shot.
Yeah. Score. Yeah. Win the points.
Yo, Johnny Jones, the DK guy switched up. Oh, man, that's unfortunate. But, yeah, if you can get Elijah Moore for James Conner, I would still do that.
I take that, too.
Yeah.
I'll take that, too. Counter his switch up with a switch up of your own and ask for a second-round pick. Because Elijah Moore is less proven than DK. And James Conner's coming off 18 touchdowns and is the clear guy in Arizona right now. And Elijah Moore had a nice little stretch as a wide receiver 1 for like 2 or 3 games, but is less proven than DK. Counter his switch up with asking for more if he's going to come down, because I think it's fair to say you're coming down from DK to Elijah Moore, still smash accept ultimately. So you can get a pick out of that. Agreed. Counter with a counter.
Agreed.
Counter with a counter.
And yeah, Rojo, it's going to happen. It's going to happen. AB, it's going to happen. Trust me.
Yeah, we can do that.
And Sajay, hey, have a good rest of your evening. I love that movie. Have a good rest of your evening.
Yeah, man. Thanks for stopping by. Have a good one, dude.
Yes, sir. All right, you want to get back to these rankings real quick?
Yeah, let's wrap them up. I think I think we did most of our talking points already from the 1 quarterback. So I'm just going to run really quickly through my super flex rankings for 13 to 24. Very similar.
1 through 12 again, real quick, just because it's been literally 2 hours since we did that now.
Yep. Superflex 1 through 12 rankings. Breece Hall, Garrett Wilson, Malik Willis, Treylon Burks, Kenneth Walker. That's the top 5. I got Desmond Ridder all the way up at 6. Chris Olave at 7. Jameson Williams at 8. I have Pickett at Corral at 9, 10. Again, those 2 plus Ridder are pending first-round draft capital. I think we expect that. Drake London 11. George Pickens 12.
Okay.
So some guys that were in the first round for the 1 quarterback slot down a little bit in the second round because 3 quarterbacks took their place. So I got Rachaad White at 13. He's a first round pick in 1 quarterback, but I got him. And again, I'm on board with your, what do you need at the turn? So if you need a running back, you can take Rachaad White at 12 and then Pickens slides to 13 for me. They're interchangeable kind of. So that's relative to what your need is. So that's fine. Rachaad White, I got 13. Jahan Dotson, I got at 14.
Let me catch up to you in the 1 through 12, and then
okay, do it. Sorry,
we'll swap one for one moving.
Got it. Sorry, I was getting ahead of myself.
The 1 QB, in 2 QB, I got Breece Hall, and then I have Malik Willis where he has Garrett Wilson, and I have Garrett Wilson where he has Malik Willis. Then I got Treylon Burks and Kenneth Walker running out the 5, and then we have another switch up. He has Desmond Ridder at 6. I have Jameson Williams at 6, Chris Olave at 7, Desmond Ridder at 8, and then Kenny Pickett at 9. Drake London at 10, Rachaad White, or George Pickens at 11 or 12, depending on need. And then at 13, I got Sam Howell.
Okay.
Because again,
you have him as your QB4. I have him as my QB5.
Yeah, it's just we went over this in the members only stream. He comps to Baker Mayfield with a better arm and slightly more mobile. And what are the issues with Baker Mayfield? Doesn't have the arm to really challenge outside the hashes, and isn't mobile, so he gets banged up a lot. Case in point, the injuries that he sustained last year.
Mm-hmm.
So if I can get a Baker Mayfield comped player
type,
with a better version, I'm gonna take that at 201 and 2 QB.
That's fair. I have him down at 16, so he's still he's top half of the second round for me in Superflex. Maybe I'm a little too high on Dotson and Sky Moore, but he is ahead of the second tier of prospects for me, non-quarterback for me. So I have him down at 16. It's just fluid. It's fluid.
All right, who did you have at 13 and 14?
Rashad White, and then again, that's interchangeable with George Pickens at 12.
Mm-hmm.
And then I got Dotson at 14.
Okay. 15?
That's where I have Sky in Superflex. Sky Moore. And then I have Sam Howell at 16. So maybe Sam leapfrogs Sky again because of the, scarcity of the positional value with quarterbacks versus there's more receivers. So Sky takes a bit more of a hit in Superflex. So those could be interchangeable. Sky at 15, Sam Howell at 16. But I do have Dotson and White ahead of Howell.
Okay, I have Sam Howell at 13 at 201. Okay. At 202, Zamir White. At 203, Jahan Dotson. And at 204, Matt Corral. And again, if quarterbacks flew off the board and you have need at quarterback, I have no issue swapping Matt Corral with Jahan Dotson to fulfill the need. But if all else is equal, I think I would rather have Jahan Dotson than Matt Corral.
Okay.
In the Superflex.
I had Corral. I have him up in the first round in Superflex. Again, I hear you. The argument in favor of Sam Howell. The NFL's expectation or I guess feelings on Corral appear to be higher. Therefore, I guess I'm naturally inclined to have Corral up a little higher.
I have no problems with that. Yeah. I have no problems with that. My distinction here is that Sam Howell played in a pro-style offense, and the only thing that held him back was that all of his playmakers left for the NFL after his in the year before last year. So he dropped down a little bit. But
that's fair.
Ceilings, just from what you've seen at their ceilings, Sam Howell has performed better at his ceiling than Matt Corral. And Matt Corral relied a lot on, he was basically an RPO quarterback. So he needs to go to he either needs to take some time to learn how to run a pro-style offense, or he needs to go to an RPO-style system where they run basically the same kind of system as Lane Kiffin.
Fair enough.
And because of that, the rushing yards, I believe, are a little bit skewed because of the system that he played at. But he cleaned up a lot of things in his senior year. So it might seem like I'm low on Matt Corral. And I've mentioned this a couple of times. I need to do a little bit more research on him. But right now, that's where I got him. But if you should be drafting all of these quarterbacks before they're 205.
Yes, agreed.
Not named Carson Strong and Bailey Zappi.
Sorry, Bailey.
All right.
So,
continue.
White at 13, Dotson at 14, Sam Howell at 15.
White. You got to make that distinction because there's Zamir
Rashad White. Sorry. Rashad White at 13, Dotson at 14. I'll put Sam Howell at 15, Sky Moore at 16, Christian Watson at 17. Okay. Now we're starting to get into these are they're very similar rankings. They're basically carbon copies of one quarterback. They're just pushed down some. So Christian Watson was my 201 in one quarterback. He's my 206? 205.
Yeah.
So comes down a little bit. Christian Watson at the 205 at 17.
And at 17, that's where I have Sky Moore.
Okay. Zamir White at 18 for me.
Isaiah Spiller at 18 for me, even though I'm staying away.
Yeah, I have Spiller at 19.
Christian Watson at 19, so we're
close there.
We're like a player off or a spot off. Yep. James Cook at 20.
So I have Cook at 22. I snuck in Carson Strong at 21 just because he's a quarterback.
Okay.
But there is, of all the quarterbacks, there's a compelling, as far as like the top 5-6 options, he's clear 6th, and there's a compelling enough argument to not be that excited about him for fantasy purposes. That being said, I do have him at 21 in the event that you could use a developmental 3rd or 4th option hopefully not 3rd, but 4th or say 5th option at the quarterback spot.
And he is a pure pocket passer, so that's what you're looking at. You're looking at a guy with the ceiling of high-end QB2. Even if he hits his ceiling.
Right.
Ceiling of basically high-end quarterback 2.
And we're probably looking at more of a low-end QB2. That being said,
more of a QB3. Which is why he's so low for us. If he was a middling QB2 and that was promised, he would be up before the 205 for sure.
Sure.
Middling QB2s have value, but he looks right now more like a middling QB3, maybe just a pure backup.
And I'll put him at and if the landing spot is putrid, then he'll come down. But for now, I have him at 21 in Superflex just because he's a quarterback.
And we've seen guys like the flash in the pan types, the Kyle Allens.
A guy who gets spot starts out of necessity, and it's just like, well, he's a live body.
And Matt
and
Corral,
sometimes that's all you need a quarterback.
I mean, yes, he has rushing. He has an arm. I mean, Taylor Heineke, and Taylor Heineke's been passed up for a better quarterback, but for 2 years he was a decent quarterback in the league that you could rely on as a QB2. So yeah, I don't know why I went back to Matt Corral, but there you go. All right, so I had James Cook at 20. You had Carson Strong at 21. I have Jalen Tolbert.
Okay, I have James Cook at 22.
I have Brian Robinson at 22. And I'm probably going to swap that for Carson Strong. So let's just put Carson Strong at 22.
Okay. So do you have Brian Robinson at 23 then?
Yes.
I have Brian Robinson at 22.
Okay, and then I have Dameon Pierce at 24.
This is where I have Wandale, and then I rounded out with David Bell.
But honestly, at 24...
Jelani?
I mean, yeah, yo. Yeah, I'm literally
he's right
not
there.
leaving the second
He's
round
right there.
in any format without Jelani Woods. We've been over this. It set it in stone.
This is the way.
Yeah.
Jelani Woods is the way.
Yeah.
So that about does it. We kind of ran through it, but also at the same time, I think we did a fair amount of analysis in our one quarterback rankings and then just kind of slotted the quarterbacks into the super flex. Again, we will put a community post up that will it'll put our rankings on paper so you can actually visualize them, and we'll keep that up for the duration of the through the NFL draft. We'll then adjust them once we know landing spot, because
and if anything changes from then till now, and we can go in and switch them around in the Excel sheet or whatever, and then swap the screenshots, then we'll do that too. If anything drastic changes from now into the draft, and then we'll obviously reevaluate after the draft.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And yeah, Rojo, I need to do some work on Corral. I really do. I need to do some work on Corral.
I mean, he's 6'2", highly accurate, can run a little bit, played the best competition college football has to offer. I feel comfortable having him just as, by default, a late first round pick, not even late, like a mid to late first round pick in Superflex leagues.
Okay.
And we'll see. I mean, let's see how much the NFL thinks of him over say, does Ritter end up in a situation where he goes where it's like, oh, he's clearly not going to play for 3 years, versus does Matt Corral have does he get drafted by the Saints and has a clear opportunity to win a camp battle this year? So we'll see.
Yeah.
Same with Pickett.
Yeah. 100%. So we're gonna evaluate it all. But yeah, I think we're about at the end though.
I think that's about it. I know some of y'all said let's just go ahead and make this a 3-hour stream, but
I mean, we can. I'm not going anywhere quite yet. We're not ending it right after. There are some things that I wanted to talk about with y'all because the majority of y'all that are still in here are members. So, and Rojo Fish said we need to get a voice channel in the Discord.
I think we have one. We just need to figure out how to set it up.
We have one, and we were gonna use it for the one-on-ones, but I just might repurpose it into just letting y'all just go in and talk to each other about whatever, and then we can pop in when we can.
We'll jump in when we can.
And talk.
Yeah.
But that was one thing that I wanted to bring up with y'all in the members only stream. So I'm just gonna say it now so y'all can think about it, and then maybe you can come back to us in the next members only stream next Wednesday, and we can have a little bit more of a discussion about it. But improvements to the channel, improvements to the Discord, improvements to the live streams, improvements to the videos. We want to talk to y'all members because y'all are the most important part of this to us. We want to keep y'all happy. We want to keep the improvements coming, and we don't want to get stagnant. So if y'all can think of any more improvements that can be made to the channel in any manner, whether it's to the adding a voice channel to the Discord or anything, you don't have to say it now. Just keep it in the back of your mind.
Something to mull over.
Approach and we'll approach that, or we'll talk about that in the members only stream on Wednesday. So yeah, that's all I got to say about that.
Everyone's important, but
well, yeah,
the members,
the
members to provide a little extra support to the stream. So
improvements trickle down to everybody, but
improvements trickle down to everyone. There's no doubt.
And I mean, are you doing anything? You want to just chill a little bit?
We got anything? I mean, anything else anybody want to talk about? Yeah, I mean, I can. If there's anything anybody else wants to ask about or talk about in general, we can stick for a few minutes.
Yeah, for everybody that's in here, what is the best fantasy football team name that you've ever come up with?
Oh, there you go. Favorite team name that you've ever come up with?
Favorite team name that you ever come up with?
Some people keep their, some people are, they have one team name and they never change it. But
and in Dynasty, it never changes. But if you're playing redraft, you might have a chance to just reinvent your team every year. What's the what are some of the best names that y'all have come up with? Because we've had some good ones between Nick and I. We've had some good ones.
Yeah, what have I done? Trying to think of some of the funnier ones. Peter Dinkin Dunklage.
That was at the height of Game of Thrones.
That was the height of Game of Thrones. Peter Dinkin Dunklage.
Yeah.
Last year, 2020, was the pandemic, and my last name spelled P-A-N-E, so I did Paindemic.
That was
that was pretty clever. That was pretty clever. Yeah, I always try to stay on topic.
The year after Jason Pierre-Paul blew up his hand in a fireworks accident, I was JPP Gang Signs. I thought that was pretty good. I had Captain America when Colin Kaepernick was kneeling. I had Captain America. I thought that was pretty good.
That was funny at the time. I don't know if it aged well though.
Oh, AB, there you go. The best ones you've heard are rated R, so you'll save those for the member Discord.
Save them for the
all right, throw them in there, man. We'd love to take a look at them.
What else did I come up with?
We've had a few that were borderline.
There's always borderline ones, but when you're with your friends, then whatever.
Yeah.
Trying to think. What was my team name this year? I don't even remember.
It was Paindemic, dude.
No, that was 2020. What was I can't remember what my 2021 name was.
I don't know.
I forget.
I thought it was Paindemic again.
That was I'm pretty sure I changed it. But now I'm like totally blanking on what it might have been. What did I do? Now I got to go back and look.
And my first name was Flex Luthor because the flex spot and Lex Luthor and
there you
Superman.
go.
So that was one. 50 Shades of Ray. Is that nice? Is that for Ray Rice or which Ray was that for?
That might have
Ray
been
Lewis.
Ray. Oh, Lewis. Okay. We can't look at our old we can't look at our
I
old
mean,
our
2 years ago,
leagues right now.
I don't know if y'all remember the
Man.
the Odell Beckham Jr. Poop thing.
Yeah.
My team name was I like getting pooped on.
Just like getting pooped
and
on.
I drafted Odell Beckham Jr. So it worked. It worked. And I had the name before I drafted him, so it was just like he just happened to be there in the 3rd or 4th round or whatever, and it was just like, oh, I guess I'm doing this. I guess I have to do this. Getting Odell Beckham on my team. I like getting pooped on. So
one year I had Darren Sproles and LeGarrette Blount as my running back.
Erect Decker. Oh man, oh that's great.
So my team name was Sproles a Blunt.
There you go. Yeah, that was a good one.
Not too bad.
That was a big one.
What was my team name last year? I swear to God, I don't remember. And we can't look at our old on Yahoo anyway.
Yeah,
we can't.
You got to go to on Yahoo, then you got to go to profile once you sign in, and then you got to click on history. That's where I'm at right now.
Yahoo.
One of my team names was Adam Gase, all caps. When Adam Gase was bugging out on the Jets. I did, I came in 10th that year. Or, no, I didn't. I came in 3rd. But
slight difference.
Yeah. Charlie Sheen fan club. Oh man.
There you go.
You went undefeated with Ray Rice. Hey man, he was good before he hit his girlfriend in an elevator.
Ray Rice or Ray Lewis? I'm not looking at the chat right now.
Ray Rice.
I'm trying to find my stupid team name.
And the logo was Charlie doing a line of blow. Oh man.
There you go.
Oh, man.
Now we're talking.
Oh man.
Oh, my team name this year was You're in Trouble. But urine was spelled URINE, not YOU.
But what was your best name?
Ever? Pandemic was pretty good. Oh, this is my best one. This was not a league that I've ever done with you. Maybe it's not my best one, but it's pretty damn good. The year that Zeke got suspended 6 games for, I think it was some type of domestic assault or whatever. Not or whatever, but it was something domestic. It was a domestic dispute related or whatever. I had Todd Gurley as a keeper. And I got Zeke at the end of the 1st round and Carlos Hyde at the top of the 2nd round when Hyde was still the dude for San Francisco. So my team name was Hide Your Gurley from Zeke.
Oh yeah, that's great.
I won the league that year on the back of that was one of Todd Gurley's monster years. I had Zeke and Carlos Hyde balled out that year. Yeah, Hide Your Gurley from Zeke that's one of my better ones.
And yo, Rojo, I'm gonna show this to the rest of the. I mean, it's held for review, but you know what? We're just doing it. We're doing it. There you go. That's ruthless, bro. That's ruthless. Oh man. Wow. Wow. And yo, Hunter L, what? What? What is that?
Do we need to break in the fun action?
Yeah, man. What?
Hang on. I'm not seeing anything.
What?
Wait.
Cowboys superfan identified as suspect? What? What is happening?
There are no. I don't see anything from any official sources, but there are people tweeting about it. Identified as a suspect alongside Cowboys cornerback Kelvin Joseph in a recent murder case. Yup.
I mean,
so I don't see anything from a Cowboys beat reporter yet. I don't see anything from Adam Schefter. I don't see anything from Ian Rappaport or where anybody gets, any other,
is the T
verified
silent?
news outlet. But this is
Ian Rappaport.
What?
You said Ian Rappaport. Is the T silent?
Yeah, we've been over this. The T is silent.
I'm still gonna pronounce the T. But that is wild.
There are multiple unverified. It's unverified Twitter accounts, but like when it rains, it pours. Like if there's a smoking gun, like there's a bunch of people tweeting about this right now.
Woof.
Damn.
Well,
hey man, don't shoot the messenger. News is news, Hunter. Appreciate the heads up. What the dude? Well, I can only hope that it's wrong or that it turns out to be not the case, but there's a lot of people tweeting about this.
Yeah. Let's prayers up to everybody involved on the victim side of things.
For real.
And let's hope that it wasn't true and it's just
I mean, here's something that is right. Let's just hope it's not true. Here's something that we can talk about, I guess, a little bit before we maybe shut this down. Is picked up from Tom Pelissero and Bleacher Report. This might be old news at this point, but I guess it's kind of confirmed. Kyler Murray is not expected to play without a new contract.
Yeah,
I don't know if you saw.
I mean that dropped a little bit before the stream at about 2:35.
It did. We didn't actually end up talking about it because it's been on the wire for about an hour now, maybe a little bit longer. But
interesting.
I'm gonna go ahead and assume that gets resolved.
They're going to pay him.
I'm going to go ahead and assume this gets resolved. Kyler holds all the power here. I mean, when you're the starting quarterback, like what are the Cardinals going to do? Call his bluff and go into the season with whoever their backup is?
Colt McCoy.
Who's their back? Like backup? Matt Barkley?
Is it Matt Barkley?
I don't know. Let's find out.
I mean, last year it was Colt McCoy, and he came in and threw 12 targets to Zach.
That's right.
So I don't know. I think it might still be Colt McCoy.
You might be right on that. You are. And then Trace McSorley is the third string.
Hey.
Oh, all the way to Happy Valley. Yes. If the Cardinals are willing to go into the season with Colt McCoy as their starter, or maybe they'll trade for Baker Mayfield. Maybe the Cardinals are the ones that trade for Baker Mayfield, man. Kyler Murray holds out.
Wow.
Oh boy, I have him in a super flex league. Might have made an offer for him in another league. Uh-oh.
Kyler?
Price just went down.
For Kyler?
Kyler.
Price did just go down.
Price might have just gone down.
Too bad the owner isn't going to get back to you.
Too bad.
Oh, man. Hey.
Too bad.
Yeah, hey, that...
Oof.
I really hope that Cowboys cornerback report.
Right, I can only hope that that's just straight up not true.
Yeah,
but no,
for all victims involved in whatever happened, and
whatever happened,
we're just gonna let the news cycle play itself out until we speak any more on it. Really.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing.
Yeah.
There's nothing we can do except for wait for more news to come out. Hunter, do not regret trading for Kyler. He's gonna play. Like, and in Dynasty, I'm not worried about, like, Kyler's not about to retire and go play baseball or something. That's not gonna happen. Kyler was.
If this hurts his value at all, it's a buy window.
Go buy him.
Yeah.
Go buy him. Honestly, I think you got him. You got him you're fine. You're fine where you're at. I have him in a super flex league. He's my ace in the hole. He's in no way, shape, or form for sale for anybody right now. Like, you would have to start even now with this news, you would have to start the conversation with 3 first-round picks, and that wouldn't be enough. I'll say that right now. I have Kyler in a super flex league. 3 first-round picks. Like, I would need a Russell Wilson package and then a little bit more. Because Kyler's, 24, 25 years old?
Sure.
Like
25, I believe, but yeah.
Anybody in that Superflex league can come call. You can hit me up anytime you want.
Oh, he's 24.
Hey, what's Kyler Murray worth?
25 in August, but he's 24.
So he'll be 25 for the 2022 season. Anybody in that league can come calling and asking about Kyler Murray. I'm telling them you can't afford him.
I'll hit you up after the stream. But
you can't afford him.
Yeah, he's gonna get I think he's gonna get locked up by the Cardinals.
I'm not worried about Kyler. If you have him, hold. If you don't have him, this is a buy low window.
Don't let franchise quarterbacks go. It's not a thing. The only reason that Deshaun Watson is not a Texan for life right now is because
the off-field stuff.
And the fact that he was just gonna hold out regardless.
He literally said, "I'm just done."
I don't know if Kyler Murray does that, but that would be what it would take. Kyler Murray would have to forfeit his entire contract, all that stuff. And deal
but
with
Kyler doesn't have the off-field stuff. A team will be more willing to make an attempt to trade for him to play this year.
Oh yeah, and you gotta. I mean, 20 teams, 25 teams would probably be in on him.
I mean, Hunter, obviously at the end of the day, we can only offer our 2 cents, and it's your team. And how you want to operate is obviously ultimately your decision. I would not put them up for sale. I mean, unless you get an absolute mother load of empty the cupboard, empty the treasure chest. You need to give me everything. You need to give me all your picks. You give me all your good young players. And when I say all, I'm maybe being a little facetious, but
until he's gotten injured every year, he's been the QB1 over Josh Allen. That's happened the past 2 seasons. The past 2 seasons, Kyler Murray through week 8 has been the QB1 if you go look it up. And then he gets injured. And then Josh Allen overtakes him because Josh Allen is a beast and never goes down, knock on wood. But Kyler Murray, injury aside, has a good shot to be a QB1 every year. If the QB1 every year. If it weren't for the injuries that he sustains because of his smaller frame. Now, I mean, all it takes is 1 year where it all comes together, where that doesn't happen for him, and then he is a dark horse QB1 candidate. And I'm not selling that at a discount. I'm not. I mean, I'm gonna back that up with stats. Give me a sec. Through week 8.
Offered a bunch of bullshit for Kyler. Hey man, I'm telling you, this is the buy low window. All you got to do is send the if the Kyler owner is worried about this report.
Yeah,
make an offer.
2020 from weeks 1 to week 10. Kyler Murray was averaging 30 points per game to Josh Allen's 24.89. And then he got hurt, and then he fell a few spots to the point where on the full season in 2020 he was the QB2 behind Josh Allen. But through 10 weeks in 2020, he was scoring 5+ more points than Josh Allen on a weekly basis. Do not sell Kyler Murray for cheap.
No.
Do not.
If you can buy him for cheap, then hell yeah.
Yeah, don't be doing that, Hunter. Don't be doing that.
I know it's pricey, and I know today, right now in April, you're looking at that like, patience. You'll be fine.
And yeah, all right. So thank you for everybody that participated in the poll.
Yeah, that's awesome.
That was dope.
That's pretty cool.
And yeah, we got a bunch of likes in this vid, so appreciate it. Or in this live stream, so appreciate it.
Same. Yeah.
What are you laughing at?
I thought you corrected yourself because you said a bad word, but
What
maybe
did
I
I say?
misheard you. I thought you said like up in this bitch.
Oh no, I didn't say.
I just did.
Yeah,
all right, so
all
I'm
right.
laughing at myself. Shut up.
In the vid I said, and then I said in the stream. So.
Okay.
Good job though. Good job.
I do what I can. That's what I'm here for. Can we
Do you
compare?
rock
And
with
then
Watson or Kyler? I'm gonna leave this to you because you're in that situation. You have both of them, and you're not selling either.
No, because Watson's the one that you could. Watson, there's still like a sell low window, I guess, so to speak, because we don't know his suspension situation yet. I mean, I'll say right now, Kyler, because he's got more of a bona fide wide receiver one to throw to with a healthy DeAndre Hopkins.
And doesn't have any legal issues. And
has no, yeah, right. Is younger.
Technically has the higher ceiling if he doesn't get hurt, as we just saw. I mean, Deshaun Watson's great. He's not scoring 30 fantasy points a game.
He could score you 30 like every third or fourth week. But here's the other thing. It's a scheme thing. I want the quarterback in the Cardinals offense before I want the quarterback in the Browns offense painting with a broad brush. The Browns they want to run the ball, and they'll probably throw the ball more when Watson isn't, when they know Watson's their guy. But the Cardinals run 4 wide 2 out of every 3 plays.
Deshaun Watson, 2019, all year, 22.13 fantasy points per game. 2018, Deshaun Watson, 20.73 fantasy points all season in points per game. 2017, was he in the league yet?
That was his first year, I think.
Okay, so then let's go up to 2020.
That was his rookie year.
Deshaun Watson, 23.53 fantasy points per game.
So that was his best season, statistically.
7 points lower than what Kyler Murray was doing before he got hurt in 2020.
It's Kyler.
It's Kyler. And do not sell Kyler. Don't.
Yeah, I know it feels.
30 points a game.
I know there's reason to be like a little nervous and concerned right now. We got a long way to go till September.
Yeah.
We got a long way to go.
Knee-jerk reactions in the offseason, not something you typically want to be doing with your quarterbacks in Superflex.
Hold your cavalry. Hang on to that.
But I think that about wraps up the stream. We didn't quite make it to 3 hours, but 2.5 is more than we've done.
I think it's a record.
No, not a record. It might be an off-season record.
Off-season record. No, during the season we go 3 hours to help y'all with start sits. But
back-to-back days.
Back-to-back days is right.
Yeah. Thanks for tuning in.
Yeah, appreciate everybody.
Stream.
As always.
Until murder was brought up. So sorry.
We addressed it and pivoted away.
Yeah. Hey, thanks y'all for the fun stream.
It's a good time.
I hope you guys have a good weekend. We will make that change to the Discord for the voice chats or the voice channel, so we have that in there for you guys, and I'll test it out and make
we'll
sure
look
it's
into
working.
it.
Have a great weekend. We'll see you next week. And we got videos all weekend taken from a live stream that we had last week. So if you're
some highlights,
starved for content, we got some coming for you a little bit. But have a great weekend. Thanks for the stream, and we will see you next week.
Yep, good time as always. Thanks everyone.
USFL this weekend. Just throwing that out there. If anybody is really starved for football, you can tune into the USFL. I believe that's happening on Saturday. So
there you go.
Yeah.
That's it.
All right. Peace,
see you guys. Have a good one.